slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Good. Check 1, check 2. We good? Okay.
Anybody here isn't up to it? I'm gonna give you one last chance to walk out that door right now. That's a good one, Todd. Good! That's what I wanted to hear. It's in this silver slice of heaven here at 1,984 ounces of beer. Golden, delicious beer. And no one leaves here until we finish every single last drop.
And we are live. Once again, I want to thank all my listeners from around the world that tune in every week to the Raider Saint podcast. Today, I got a special treat for you guys. Before I could get to them, this is episode 246. Today's date is August 2nd. The year is 2025. It's a beautiful Saturday morning. The time is approximately 10:36 a.m. Yes, this is the Raider Saint podcast. And if you're looking to be on the show, you got any comments, suggestions, you can always get a hold of me at theraiderandthesaint.com. That is theraiderandthesaint.com. Also, social media, you can get a hold of me. Once again, thank you guys who've reached out and given me comments and suggestions. I really appreciate the feedback. It's going to be a special day. You know, this will be the first time in Raider and the Saint history we will be taking live phone calls. Just a few, not a lot. So we're going to take a few phone calls, but when we get to it, okay? And then we got some questions that my help right here, James Nava, has been going around part-time and the hub, talking to drivers and getting questions. And he did a little survey for me, so thank you so much for that, James. Also, it is his birthday. Happy birthday, bro. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
All right, my guests today come from Local 952 Teamsters. I got to my right, so on the camera will be to your left, Secretary Treasurer Eric Jimenez. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Also, I got President John Green here. Welcome to the show, sir. First time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
They are up for re-election. Elections, let's see. We have the... what is it? The announcements, or what is it? The
Nominations.
The nominations will be held. What was that? September
8th.
It's September 8th. I think that's a Monday at 8 a.m. And then also elections. The election date will be what? October 9th, right?
October 9th.
October 9th. So yeah. So they are up for re-election. And like I said on the show, I'm not a full-blown union podcast show, you know, but I do support labor. I do support unions. So we have, as of right now, we have three. Looks like we have three different slates, and I've had Solidarity slate on, which you could look on what the Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, iHeart, and then the audio version. We did do video that day. Audio version is on YouTube. Also, I had the Dignity and Pride slate, which is on all the formats I mentioned earlier. And I just uploaded the video part of it because that one wasn't live. We actually just recorded it, and it took me a while to learn. You know, I wanted to get it right, so it took me a couple, probably like over a month to get it up and loaded. But that's up and loaded on YouTube if you want to check out their slate. But now it's your guys' turn, you know, and I'm happy you guys are here. You know, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day. I know you guys have negotiations with Albertsons going on, so thank you. Appreciate that. You know, start with the first question. You know, this could go for both of you guys. Can you guys share me your journey to becoming the Secretary Treasurer and President of Teamsters Local 952? and what has inspired you to take this leadership role?
You want me to take that one first?
Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
I'll take it, and then you can. It was a passion, brother. Steve, I've known you a long time from UPS. Went through the part-time ranks at UPS. From a part-timer, then I moved into air driving, and then I moved into package car driving. Like I said, through those years, where it started at was my dad was a union man. I came from a union family. I was able to see my father and my mother and my 5 brothers live off of a union wage, live off of a union health care.
Get that mic a little bit closer. Sorry, brother. I want you to get. There you go.
Live off of union
There you
health care. So I came from a union background, so I knew what it was to protect unions. I knew what it was to support unions. Coming through UPS, obviously, I wanted to get involved in the union at a young age. I did. Started volunteering sometime in 2003. I gave up my young years to walking picket lines, organizing, doing political actions. When there were strikes, I was out there on the strike lines, making that sure that all our members knew that UPS supported them, but also letting the scabs know that they weren't going to mess around with the Teamsters. And that was a passion of mine. I think my journey to where I'm at now as a secretary treasurer was at some point, I started questioning what was going on with our local, why I was seeing other locals around Southern California and around the country be strong and our membership be empowered and active. I obviously, prior to John, I ran twice, and you remember that, and it didn't stop me there. Even though I lost, I could have stood down on the floor and I could have said, "Oh, poor me," but I didn't. You know what I mean? It was in my head that our members at Local 952 deserved something better than that they were getting. And I think at that point is where I decided to say, I'm going to keep trying because I can give up. I used to tell one of my good friends at UPS, he used to be like, "Eric, just let it go, man. Just drive the truck, make your money, man, and just leave that alone." I said, "Okay, well, if I stop paddling the boat, it's going to sink." And I couldn't have that on my shoulders. I was offered to go work at other campaigns and at the international as an organizer, but I couldn't take that knowing that looking behind me, my members at Local 952, my brothers and sisters at Local 952 were still getting the shaft. They weren't getting represented correctly. They were really not happy with what was going on in the union. I mean, most of our members didn't even care to be union at that time. So when me and John met with each other, he had the same vision and the same view that I did. And we decided to run a third time. And luckily our members were fed up with what was going on. They got to know me over a 6-year time span, but more than 6 years, but a 6-year time span of elections. And I did. We built a movement. We built a group of united members that were saying, "Hey, things need to change for us." So again, really, but I kind of went on for pretty long, but
Yeah.
I mean, really, it is just. I mean, union runs through my blood. Teamsters runs through my blood. Union runs through my blood. At the end of the day, there's always going to be an American worker out there that's getting pushed around by a company, and as long as that's happening, there's always going to be the need for the Teamsters, brother.
Yeah, my dad was union, and so was his dad. My dad worked for McDonnell Douglas, which later turned into Boeing, but his dad worked for McDonnell Douglas, and then got my dad in. And when I graduated from high school, I tried to get in, but they were already downsizing and all that. But yeah, I'm third. What is that? Third generation union member, I guess. How about you, John?
Yeah, I mean, so my story's a little different, right? It's kind of a long story, but to cut it short a little bit, when I was on the podcast for Off the Clock Shop Talk, that I kind of told the whole story. But I wasn't like Eric. I was involved, but I wasn't involved, right? Like most of the members
Yeah.
are, right? I started out in Cisco back in late '99 and spent 5.5 years there, and then I went over to Vaughn's. And I was never a shop steward, never wanted to be a steward. When I got to Vaughn's, a couple of my real good friends were stewards, and one was my former business agent, Al Baltazar. We used to hang out. We used to go to the river. We used to do all our stuff, and every time we'd go out, they were on the phone answering calls all day, and I'm like, why in the would you guys want to do that? You know what I mean? You don't get paid. You don't do this. You don't do that. Long story short, I thrived off of being a union member, right? You know, I made a good living. Cisco was a very good job. Vaughn's was a very good job. We made a lot of money. You know, as a driver in these union jobs, it's cheaper to pay us overtime than to bring in new members. So you have the ability to write your own check. And I made the best of it. I flipped houses in the meantime while I was working, and we did very well. It wasn't until 2017 when Albertsons bought Vaughn's and the merge happened that kind of woke me up, right? Saying, hey, it's kind of like you don't know a good thing that you have until you don't have it anymore. You know what I mean? And like the old saying goes, when we got over, I ended up going to Irvine because we bid in waves coming down. And when all of the Vaughn's drivers got to, you know, warehouse guys too, when we got to Albertsons and, you know, shit didn't run like it did when we were at Vaughn's in Santa Fe Springs and El Monte, you know. So, I mean, we literally were like, what the F? You know what I mean? Like, they can't do this. I mean, literally, Steve, to the point that we said, well, they're violating our seniority. They're doing this. They're doing that. Oh, I want to file a grievance. Okay, cool. Go ask a supervisor for a grievance form. Right? Like, what do you mean ask a supervisor for a grievance form? And then on top of that, we're like, you know, I mean, it got to one of the first big issues I remember that came up was when we got to Albertsons doing our DOT physicals, the company would ask for the whole form, right? Oh, that's HIPAA shit. At Vaughn's, they tried to do that years ago, and we're like, hell no. All as you need is the fact that you filed it with the DOT and that the doctor was a DOT certified doctor to perform the physical, and it's filed. That's all they're entitled to. And so that was one of the first things. And I remember the business agent at the time came in and said, hey, no, they have a right. They're paying for your physical. They have a right to have it. And we're like, bullshit. You know, and we went and filed complaints and called some people. And
I'd sue the fuck out of them, dude.
2 days later, that posting was down and a new posting was up saying, hey, all you got to give them is the DOT page and the doctor cert page, right? And so that being said, that was one of the things that woke me up. But, you know, on top of it, when you filed a grievance, then you couldn't give it to a supervisor. They didn't accept them. You had to put it in a locker. We had a locker in Irvine in the middle of all our lockers. That was the BA's locker. And every week or a couple weeks when he'd come by, he'd come and take the grievances out of the locker. We're like, this isn't the process. We're not used to this. You know, when we were Vaughn's and I came out of Local 848,
Yeah,
you filed a grievance. Those supervisors tried to clear those grievances up as fast as they could. And so that's what opened my eyes to get me involved. That being said, long story short, I still didn't want to be a shop steward at that point. But we ended up running shop steward elections. I ran kind of on a whim to help somebody else. I ended up winning. And, you know, for the next 9 months, I tried changing everything I could as a steward. And it went pretty well. And then ultimately, a bunch of guys that knew Eric from before, because I had never met Eric, said, hey, we want you to go meet somebody. And, you know, after a bunch of pushback, you know, a few of them gave me a lot of money. Said, go meet him. This will get you guys started. But we really think it would be a good thing. And, you know, the rest is history. So.
Wow.
And just to tell you, story time, you know, I remember when, back to John's comment, when Albertsons bought out Vaughn's, because I had been involved in the labor movement since 2003, 2004, when I was caught breaking out windows in the 2003 grocery strike. I made friends from different locals. And long story short, I remember a member from a different local that was coming over to our now Albertsons and merging into 952. He called me up and he was like, Eric, you know, I hear all this bad stuff. Is it really true? Or, you know, there's the union's weak. Is it really true there's no representation? Is it really true there's no involvement, no activism out there in terms of the members getting involved? And I said, yeah. I said, you know, UPS is paid attention to a little bit because they're a national contract, but with our smaller companies that only pertain to 952, they're kind of forgotten. They're not really represented correctly. And he kind of was like, all right, well, thanks for but I think he kind of took it as, you're just saying that because you have an issue with the leadership. And it is what it is. No more than 3 months after they actually merged into Albertsons, he called me up and was like, what the hell is going on here, man? Like, dude, we can't file grievances. They're violating our seniority. You know what I mean? In order to file a grievance, we have to talk to a supervisor first. You know what's going on? I looked at him and I said, I told you that's the way it was here. So, funny, kind of funny that John was talking about that. But
Right. That's cool. I didn't, like this shows like it's for a lot of it's for me. Like I get to meet new people and get to like I didn't even know that like they were doing shit like that. That's crazy. Yeah, that'd make me want to run too. My next question: what do you guys see as the most rewarding part of serving as secretary, treasurer, and president? And what's been the toughest challenge you faced in this role? The good, the bad, the ugly.
I'll let you take that one first.
For me, and to be honest with you, like, I was a little different than Eric. It wasn't my life passion to do what I do. Once I started doing it, and, I mean, we could be here for a week talking about how it all got started.
There you go.
But for me, my favorite part of the job and most rewarding for me is I love negotiating contracts. I kind of got forced into it. I got thrown into the fire in the beginning. And, but once, my first contract, thought I was learning to negotiate when Frank Sevilla threw everything in front of me and said, you're doing it. Right.
Yeah.
And, and that's about where you start shitting your pants.
Yeah.
And saying, yeah, what if I screw this up? You know what I mean? But, and then the next contract that I ended up doing, I had to do on my own. I didn't have an attorney. It was like, hey, we had so much going on, kind of like we do this year. We have so many contracts going on. You just can't be in two places at one time. But one of the things that you learn is, I was negotiating against guys that graduated from Harvard, graduated from big universities, right? And when you've never done it before, you're intimidated. I don't give a hell what anybody says. When you're sitting there and this guy's been through a shitload of expensive schooling, you look at him and you're like, damn, what does he know that I don't know? But what I learned real quick in negotiating was he puts his pants on just like I do. He actually is at a disadvantage. He might know the legal aspects. He might know some of the legal ways. I mean, and there's a lot of legal things that have to do with negotiating that you got to learn along the way. But what he doesn't know is how it works on the shop floor. And that's where we have the advantage. I've been a truck driver for a long freaking time. I've done a lot of different truck driving jobs, and I know what happens on the shop floor. And now being in here, we do a lot of different industries. We go walk yards. We talk to members. And that's a good thing about having the membership involved like they are now, is because we all talk to each other and you learn. I knew nothing about UPS before I came in here. When I went and walked the building, I remember the first time I saw all you guys pull out, I'm like, what the hell is this?
Buffalo.
It's like a stampede.
Yeah.
Don't get in the way because you're going to get run over. You know what I mean? But when you see how they load the trucks and you go in there, and actually it's for somebody like me that's never seen anything like that. The first time I walked into the Anaheim UPS building, I was like, holy shit, this is amazing, But then you start learning, you start understanding, you know what I mean? And it's like that with all the occupations that we represent.
How many barns do we represent? It's a lot, right?
Jesus, a lot.
Yeah, we have well over 40 contracts.
Yeah.
Well over 40 contracts with several different employers.
But yeah, I mean, to get back to it, when you negotiate a contract that is life-changing and you see the membership, I mean, I've had people cry and just say, man, this is really going to help us out. That is for me, the most satisfying part of it. You get somebody that was terminated and you get their job back and they don't even know what to say or how to say thank you. That's satisfying. Challenging. There's so many challenges doing this job. I don't even know where to begin or end. Challenging is one, you're always under the microscope. No matter what you do, it's what have you done for me lately? It's not like you can never rest. You can never take a break. Not if you're doing it right. And part of it for us is, or at least I guess I could say from coming in, when we came in, we didn't see a whole lot of activity. We didn't, I used when I first came over, the first thing I did was go to a general membership meeting, and I remember there were 23 people there, and I think 16 worked for the union. It was on a Wednesday night, and nobody is involved. Well, I think when you're running a local, you have two different ways you can go. You could choose to keep everybody in the dark, make it to where nobody wants to get involved, or you can educate your membership and get everybody involved. It's a double-edged sword either way you go, right? Eric and I, we said we're going to move the general membership meetings to Saturdays. We did. And now we have a shitload of people that come. But on the flip side of that, we've educated members. You see the strike lines now. We've done a few strikes. It's not just those people on strike that are on those lines. We've got grocery people out there. We've got UPS people out there. We got people from all the barns that come and support everybody else. And on the flip side of that, they're educated, and therefore they're going to hold you accountable more. Because I used to say when I came in here, and I had guys talking to me about stupid shit, like, why in the hell is this? And I'm like, you let them guys not even process a grievance for you for 20 years and you didn't complain. Well, you do that today and you're going to be on a DFR, right? Because our members are educated now. So I guess without going on all day, that's where I'll stop.
I mean, how can, and I get John, what John says. I mean, how can you stop? There's so many things, Steve, that we could talk about. We could sit here for hours about what it is that we wish would change, the things that we love doing. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I think it's hard for me to say what it is that specifically is gratifying or rewarding. But what I will say is, just seeing our members' lives better every other day, better than the day before, their lives are better now, is the most gratifying thing, whether it's getting them a great contract, whether it's during COVID when our members were on layoff, when we were handing out food, getting food banks. I mean, we had people coming in saying that they weren't going to be able to feed their families through Thanksgiving or Christmas. We had members coming in saying, I don't know how I'm going to get my kids Christmas presents. And the union stepped up. Local 952 stepped up and got those people. We've
checks
seen
to pay electric bills, all kinds of
help
stuff.
pay electric bills, help pay rent. Going into terminations, our members, I've seen some of our members terminated, and our members don't fully understand what it is to be union until you lose that job for something that the company shouldn't have fired you for, or even sometimes for something the company caught you doing wrong. And when they get their job back and say, I got my health care back, I'm going to feed my family again, I'm going to be able to make money, pay my house bill, there's nothing more rewarding than saying, hey, and we're not looking for any gold stars on our report or anything like that. It's walking away saying that our members are living better than the day they were before. And that is the most gratifying thing. And, I think when you ask the most challenging thing, for me, the most challenging thing is times have changed, guys. Times have changed from when my dad was a union man, from when I was a kid, you know what I mean, to now. Our members are very critical of our union. And the hardest thing is trying to educate our members as to what the union does. I mean, we've all heard it, what does the union do for us? They're lazy, blah, blah.
What do I pay dues for?
Why do I pay dues for? You know what? But getting our members educated, getting our members to understand what the Teamsters do for you every day. You could go work for a company like FedEx and realize you'll know what it is not to have a union. You can go work for somebody like Aldi or Walmart and realize what it is not to have a union. That is the most, and John said, we've done everything we can since we've taken over to try to educate our members, from shop steward seminars think about this. And I said this on another podcast.
You're answering my next question.
Yeah. Think about this. Think about this, Steve. If I really wanted to keep my members in the dark, if I really wanted to keep them uninvolved, and I was really doing this just for a job, why didn't I just leave the meetings at 7:30 like they were for the last 20 years? Nobody showed up. Nobody could make it. I would have just kept it like that. Me and John took the position of let's move it from Wednesday to Saturday.
Well, that was one of the things I used to say early on the podcast when you first got elected. I said, I hope he changes it to the weekend. You know what I mean? Because it was hard for me in the beginning when I started driving, even when I was Twilight. Like, I could never make a meeting on a Wednesday. That's why a lot of people at UPS, a lot of part-timers were happy when you hired business agent for the part-timers. That was something they wanted for, many years. And we got that. And then we got it changed to Saturdays. Because in the beginning, I'd have to run all day when I became a driver to even make it on those Wednesdays, because most of the older guys would file for, 8-hour requests. And
Yeah.
so
The only good thing about having a meeting on Wednesday night was your chances of winning the raffle was greater, because only only
yeah,
50,
it's good.
I did. I won Angels tickets
because
a few
only
times.
15 people showed up. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Now, bare minimum, we got 100 to 150 people showing up to our membership meetings. On a good meeting, we have 250 on our Teamster events. We get 500, 600, 1,000 people showing up. That's education. That's unity. That's, our members coming together. And we weren't like that 5 years ago. So, again, I'll end it with this. I think the most challenging thing for me is trying to get our members to understand the benefit and what good the union does for them. Because I truly don't think our members understand what it would be like to not have a union. Like I said, we just got 3 feeder drivers back at UPS. 3 feeder drivers terminated, told you're never going to get your job back. And I think for them, they truly understood what it was to be a Teamster when they were able to walk back in with their head held high. And guess what? I got my health care back. I got my paycheck back. I got, my pension back. And it was because of the Teamsters. And that was all it was. It wasn't because UPS was nice. It wasn't because UPS felt sorry for them. It wasn't because UPS, has a big heart. It was because the Teamsters fought tooth and nail to get you those jobs back. So again, our members really need to take a step back and really start telling people, yes, we may not agree on everything, but at the end of the day, the union is a benefit to us, and they do a lot for us.
Were you part of all the negotiations?
Yes.
Then, so you guys both did CVS, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so one thing I saw online that people were complaining about was during the contract, right? The warehouse voted it okay. They voted it through, and you still had the mechanics and the driver that still had to vote. Now, people were saying, I want you guys to clear this up. Was anything ever said saying, hey, if warehouse will continue to work?
Never said that.
Okay.
Never ever said that. John could probably hit on this a little bit more because he was one of the chairmen initiating. At the end of the day, and it wasn't everybody, but a small group of guys that already had a agenda to try to get these negotiations to go south. They had a plan to want to make everybody look bad. Where they got called out on is when they started looking at the warehouse workers and saying, well, hey, you as warehouse worker down here and us as drivers are up here, therefore you should only make this and we should only make this, compared to, at grocery, warehouse and drivers make the same. So this was the first time that across the board we got drivers and warehouse the same amount of money each year in raises. You had a certain someone out there, and I'm not going to say his name because I have integrity, but he went out there and said, well, why are we making just as much as the warehouse? We drive trucks, and I get it. Driving's hard. You know what I mean? It is, but no different than a warehouse. The warehouse has its own issues that it has to deal with. And for you to step in front of the warehouse and say, well, I'm better than you, you already started out down the wrong road. You already and the company knew because of Facebook, because of certain websites and certain forums, that the drivers were planning on trying to say that we should be making more money than the warehouse. And when it came down to the warehouse voting it in overwhelmingly, think about this, guys. They got a $3 raise in the first year at CVS. $3. That's no small chunk of change. You know what I mean? They got a huge pension increase, massive pension increase. We brought non-union work back from Northern California back down here to Southern California, which means more Teamster jobs, more Teamster truck driving jobs. We changed their lives over there, and majority of those members were happy about it. They, one or two, guys tried pushing a no vote based on we should be making more than the warehouse guys. And even then, their crew, their drivers, the mechanics, they still voted it in. Maybe not overwhelmingly, but I think when you say, was it said, before we even got to what was going to happen if the drivers voted it down, they had already put the narrative out there that we're better than the warehouse guys. And that was the poison that one or two of those people were trying to spread out there was, we're better than the warehouse. We should be making more than the warehouse. They're just doing warehouse work. Why should they make as much as drivers? So, but again, did the words ever come out? We're not going to support you. No, never did. That was something they wanted to believe. When the drivers ended up voting it in, that's something that they used to say, well, we had to vote it in because they wouldn't have supported us. Farthest from the truth.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, you gotta kind of go back and look at where it all started. For one, CVS came out of Albertsons, right? In 06. At that point in time, when they split off, everybody had a chance to bid to go wherever they wanted to go. At that point, like Eric said, in grocery, at Vaughn's and everywhere else I've been, Cisco, everybody makes the same. Warehouse, matter of fact, warehouse guys sometimes make more because they'll get an incentive on top of it. Yeah, it's like in our Irvine facility, but that's the way the grocery industry was for a long time. When they split off, the people that went into the warehouse over there kind of took a bait, and they gave them less to go over there, and they kind of sold them, well, you're going from a 7-day operation to a 5-day operation. You know, here's some benefits. You're going to have weekends off, whatever. And a lot of people took that bait and took a lot less money to go over there. The drivers didn't. Drivers actually make more than the Albertsons drivers do now. But that being said, through the negotiations that went all up into that point, I never see anybody stick up for those warehouse guys and get them up to par where they should have been. Because to be honest with you, back then they got screwed, right? Nobody stood up for them. I kind of know a little bit of the history of how it happened. It's kind of bullshit how it happened, but it happened and it was there, and that's, you know, you're handed a jar. That's what you got to hand. But ultimately, like Eric said, warehouses, their wages were never, because they did it on percentages, right? So the one thing I don't like about percentages, everybody talks about inflation. We just went through COVID, inflation like crazy, right? You know, I'm a driver. You're a warehouse guy. You paying any more for gas than I am? You paying any more for food than I am? You know what I mean? Ultimately, that inflation hit everybody at the same time. And when you're doing everything in percentages to where you give the lower guy the smaller raise, all you're doing is creating that gap. What does a company do with that gap? They'll use that gap to split the membership, right? And anytime a company can split the membership, it gives them some leverage. So that being said, going back to these negotiations, the other part of negotiations that people have to realize is the company has 3 obligations in a negotiation. They got to listen to your proposal, they got to consider it legally, and they got to give you an answer. That answer could always be no. What's our leverage? Our leverage is we have the right to withhold labor. So then you get to what is the difference between a tentative agreement and a last best and final, right? A lot of people don't know this. If you haven't been, I had to learn it. You know, everybody has to learn it when you go through the negotiations, but there's an advantage to getting to a recommended offer tentative agreement. And that advantage is everything we negotiated is going to be in that tentative agreement that we bring to the membership and vote. Now, if you don't get to a tentative agreement, what do? We do it everywhere. We don't even get close. We end up having to ask the company for last, best, and final. And what some people don't know is that any proposal, because if you go through negotiations, a company always puts takeaway proposals on the table. If you ask them for last, best, and final, they have a legal right to put anything they propose into that last, best, and final and make you go vote it, right? So that's the difference there. When you have a committee that's trying to work against you, now you're trying to fight the company and you're trying to control the committee and you're trying to explain to them, hey, there's a lot of things that we're risking here if we don't move with the flow and try to get to a tentative agreement, okay? And that being said, like Eric said, in the CVS situation, the attorneys were saying, hey, yeah, we know what's going on out there. We watch all your Facebook. We see all the stuff that's printed on, I mean, they know. They're not stupid. They investigate us just like we have the IBT investigate them and see how much money they have and whatnot. So that being said, when we got to the end of that agreement, trying to nail it down, we are already at the wages and pension better than anybody. I mean, not only that, CVS alone in one way because of something we did in the last negotiations. Their mileage rate. So I'll give you, like, they came out of Albertsons. Albertsons right now on my long haul mileage rate is 78 cents. We're negotiating that contract right now. CVS is at 94 cents. UPS is at 98 cents. By the third year of the contract, their mileage rate, so all the guys going to Phoenix, all that, they're going to be at $1.04, and UPS will be at $1.02. CVS will actually pass them in the mileage rates. So there's some really good shit in there. Now,
I mean, I think the way to sum it up, honestly, and sorry to cut you off, John, is I think
I'll go all day.
I think really the way to sum it up is anybody can throw their ideas from the sideline. It's easier
Backseat quarterback.
It's easier to criticize from the stands of the game,
but they never step in your shoes.
rather than being on the field and,
Yeah.
and trying to get to that goal line. And it's easy. Trust me, it is. It's hell of a lot easier. But at the end of the day, our job isn't to, based off of, what if I could get that? What if we should get that? Our job as a union is to make sure that our members are working every day, that they're protected every day, and at all costs are safe. I could go out there. The easiest thing to do with members is put them on strike. I could beat my chest and say, let's go on strike. That's not our job, because it doesn't benefit you. And then when I do put you on strike, I also have to have a strategy, a plan to get you back from that strike. Because if I take you out on strike and we get less than what we were supposed to get, or I get you the same thing that you would have got without a strike, you're going to look at me and say, why did I just lose 2-3 weeks, a month of pay over your ego? That's not my job. I take all that out. At the end of the day, we have to look at what's best for our membership. And, there was one or two guys that had a meeting prior to our ratification vote. They called everybody to go to a Denny's. They poisoned the well. They told them, vote no. This is bull crap. Rather than being transparent and saying, just go to the meeting, hear it for yourself, listen to it. And if you guys don't like it, then so be it. I will tell you this confidently. That CVS contract had no takeaways. It was the best contract they've ever seen at CVS. $3 in the first year alone, over $1.50 in wages, or I'm sorry, $1.50 in pension. $1.50 in pension. We fixed seniority in the warehouse, where now guys are doing things per their seniority. We brought non-union work back down from Northern California to Southern California, which means more Teamster jobs. There was no takeaways. And I get it, guys. I completely understand. As Teamsters, we always want to grab that grape and squeeze as much juice out of it as possible. But you cannot go out there and say, they're not doing their job, or, they failed. We got you you were here and you're here now. We got you something better. You're living better than the day. And next time we'll fight for more and we'll get what we didn't get this time. But you can't just go out there and say, me, so-and-so wanted this and I didn't get it. So, hey guys, the contract sucks for everybody else. Everybody has their way of living, and they voted their way of living. They voted their lifestyle. And I will tell you right now, in the warehouse, it was voted overwhelmingly. And even with the mechanics and the drivers, which, by the way, a lot of the mechanics and maintenance guys are coming up to us and saying, now that we see what you guys got us, and now that we got our first paycheck, dude, thank you. I don't know why I was even listening to trying to vote this thing down. But you had one or two people out there that, for political reasons, were, no matter what, I could have gave them $10 in the first year, Steve, and they would have said, I want 11. I could have got them $12 in the first year, and they would have said, I want 15. It was their goalpost kept moving and moving and moving based off of, I just want to cause issues. And if you're going to do that with 1,000 people's livelihoods, or about 900 people's livelihoods, you're sitting in the wrong seat, because you're doing it for ego reasons, and you can't be doing that stuff.
Yeah, I know people are still talking about it. I think that's going to be one of the main topics on this election, is the UPS pension. We used to get $1, now it's 50 cents. Now they're saying, where did that 50 cents go? Other people are saying, since we went from $1 to 50 cents, it's going to be harder to renegotiate that dollar in the future. What do you think about that?
So, I mean, it really looks on how the narrative is spun in terms of the pension.
Because I already know that if we're overfunded, UPS can back out.
So, I mean, there's a lot that goes into the pension.
Yeah.
One, the Western Conference Teamster Pension Fund is the best pension
Yes.
fund, if not in this country, in the world, in terms of union Taft-Hartley, union pensions. Saying that, it's nearly 100% backed up with money. So when we say that, if we're 99% funded, that means if everybody were to retire today,
Mhm.
people would see 99 cents on the dollar given to them. That is huge. And everybody knows that pensions over the years have had some issues, and they can go ahead and say, "Wow, the Teamsters, this, steel workers, auto workers, laborers, everybody's had issue with pensions for whatever reasons, and some mistakes made due to lack of poor leadership, but other ones they weren't. It wasn't on purpose. You know what I mean? We see our industries are moving out of the country. Steel's moving out of the country. Concrete's moving out of the country. Again, but back to the UPS pension is this time around our number one issue brought up by our membership during the last negotiations in 2023
Yeah, they voted.
was hardcore money.
Yeah.
I want money in my pocket.
Yeah.
With COVID, with inflation, I want money in my pocket. I want money in my pocket, and that was their number one issue. Along with that came, let's get some pension, let's get some health care, and really work-related rules were of an issue. But number one thing was the money. So what did we do? In this contract, we got people at UPS more money than they ever seen. I came from UPS. I think, Steve, the biggest raise I ever saw, I think, was $1.05 or $1.10 at the beginning of the 2000s. And that was $1.
You guys are spoiled.
You know what I mean? Well, this time
mean,
around,
even-
I came
even
out of
if-
grocery. Our
that-
biggest raise
well,
was
hold on.
45.50
This time around, we got $2.75. $2.75 for the first year alone. We got $7.50 over the life of the contract. The biggest contract I think I've ever seen, Steve, at UPS for 20 plus years was, I think, like $4.75, man. So again, we did put majority of our money into the wages. That's what the members wanted. When it came to
Yeah, that's what they voted on.
that's what they voted
survey,
on. When
yeah.
it came to getting the money into the pension, we took a lot of our money and we put it on wages. We did. We have, over the history of contracts, put $1 into our pension and into our healthcare, and we have done that. This time around, we diverted most of that money into wages, but we still left enough money for us to be able to take care of our pension and our medical if need be. Because medical has been, and this is something that people don't understand, they can say whatever they want out there in the front, but when you sit behind the curtain, you sit behind the closed doors, and you're actually the person at the table doing it, you know what the issues are. In the last 2 years, and John can tell you, the last 2 years, our healthcare has been rising more than ever before. Kaiser, which a lot of our UPS members use, has jumped up. Their annual increases has bumped up for some trusts over 15, 20%. It was the decision of the trustees to say, okay, let's put all that money to our healthcare and to our retiree healthcare, because the other thing we like at UPS is when we retire from UPS, guess what? We pay $150 for full healthcare. And that's something that needs to be protected. But again, that being said, we still the way they spin it about the pension at UPS is it was taken away from us. No, it wasn't. You got full-timers still make $13.46 into their pension, and part-timers still make $11.26 into their pension. And I want to tell you right now, for the people out there listening, $11.26 for a part-timer at UPS is more than a full-timer makes into his pension at CVS, Coca-Cola, Albertsons, Pepsi, Budweiser. That is
And that's every hour.
and
if
that's
you will.
every hour up into 2080 hours. The other thing that people don't, and it's mathematical equations, but over the last 5 years, our accrual rate, which is an accrual rate, is put into an equation, and it equates to how much money you're going to be getting
Yeah.
at the end of your lifetime, or at the end of when you decide to retire.
Mhm.
Because our pension is so well funded, over the last 5 years, it's went from 1.2% to 1.6%. And you think, well, what's 0.4% really going to do? We're going to be giving a flyer out over the next couple of days to UPS to educate them, and so they don't keep believing in the lies that people are going to put out there just to be haters. For full-timers, the difference of you retiring over the last 5 years, Steve,
Mhm.
at a 1.2% rate it comes out to about $1,400 a month over the 5 years. Because we bumped it up to 1.6, you are going to be making close to $1,900, about $450 extra dollars a month based off of that accrual rate. And that's what our members don't understand. Our part-timers are going to make about close to $300 extra dollars in those 5 years. When they retire, they're going to get an extra $300 a month. Now, some people are going to say, well, that's only $300, $400. That's a car payment. You know, that's an electrical bill. Every little bit helps. But, you know, everybody just wants to say, wow, our pension was taken away. No, it wasn't. Our members made it very clear. We want majority of the money in our wages. We secured money for our pension and our health care if need be. The last 2 years, we've been making sure that our health care and our retiree health care is safe. And guess what? Southwest, Southern has the best health care out there that you can possibly think of.
Is it true? Don't we give the retirees extra money at the end of the year because we're so overfunded?
So
we have to stay be under that line.
So it's not that was where the 1.6 accrual rate came in.
Okay,
is we allowed them to allowed more
to end this year, right? And then
it's going to end this year, and it may be extended again because we're so well funded. So you know, I get it. If we could be making 14, 15, 16 bucks into pension, we would. But it's not that we gave it away. It's just we bargained this time around to put more money in your pocket and then just enough money to secure our health care and our pension. And next time around, if the members are like, okay, well, this time around we want to flip the script, put more money into our pension and less money into our pockets, then that's the direction we'll go. And people can say, well, why couldn't you get both? Well, trust me, we tried getting both. But at the end of the day, I mean, that's negotiations. If I could walk up to UPS and say, give me everything I want, including the days off that we want, the amount of money we want. I mean, what's the point of having a union if you can walk up to your company and say, give it to me, and they're going to say, you know what, Steve, you're a great employee. I'm giving it to you. We wouldn't have a need for unions. But again, you know, that's, I mean,
one of my coworker, one of my friends, he drives out of another local. He's out there, I think San Gabe or one of those. He told me he got a letter from the Western pension, you know, and they said that he's eligible to retire, right? He's got his golden 80. I don't know if maybe you could clear this up. Say you get your 25, you work 20/80, you know, for all 25 years. Just to say you went straight into driving and you hit that ceiling. You know, say it's max is $6,000. Say he continues to work another 3 years. Is that pension going to grow, or does he stop? So it continues to grow.
So, and just to clear that up a little bit, Steve, we don't have the 25 out.
Yeah.
In
Maybe that's
Western
what he,
Conference. We have what's called
that's what I was going to get to
the
next.
golden 80 at UPS.
Yeah.
Some people have the golden 82, but majority of our contracts have the golden 80, which that is the amount of years you've worked plus your age. When that reaches 80, you can go ahead and retire. The reason why drivers like staying longer, even though they can retire. Imagine this, Steve. For people that could have retired in 2020, because they stood another 5 years, they're going to be making an extra $500-600 on their retirement check for staying that long. An extra $500-600, you know what I mean? Over their life. And not only that, but when they pass away, their spouses get money. I mean, the Western Conference, you can't argue. There's nothing better than the Western Conference. But again, even when you can retire, each year you decide to work based on how much is going into your pension. Yeah. Your pension, you know, your pension account, the amount of money you'll get when you retire keeps bumping up. You know what I mean? So, and that's where you see some of our guys work until they could retire at 55, but they're staying until 65.
Dippers.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And then once you get past, you know, what is it, 67? Not only are you collecting your pension, not only can you get your pension, but you can get your Social Security. You know what I mean? What
401k.
What other companies that aren't union get that?
I don't know if I could. I'm going to be 45 on Wednesday. I don't know if I could fucking work till 67. This job's tough as shit, dude.
Yeah.
It's tough as shit. Let me see. You know, we'll get back. We'll go around. I want to stick to the questions. Unions are often faced criticism for things like high salaries for leaders or lack of transparency. How do you guys ensure Local 952 remains accountable and transparent to its members?
You're the secretary.
I am. I was going to see if you were going to hand it over to me, but I'm glad you are. You know, and John, I'll hit on it because John does sit next to me along with our 7 e-board members.
Yeah.
You know what, guys? The one thing that our members need to stop doing is saying we want to be up here, but you want you need to live down here.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, as when I was a UPSer, I had the ability to make $140,000, $150,000 a year. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Best healthcare in the world, best pension, best work rules. You know what I mean? A lot of our drivers are, and thank God, and rightfully so, are rewarded with cabins, river houses. They get to go on, vacations. You know what I mean? And that's because of what the Teamsters have done. The unfortunate part about our members is, and I don't think it's on purpose, but they're fed the poison of, well, Eric or John can't live like that. They can't. They need to live in shambles. At the end of the day, like John said
Sleep
earlier,
in your car.
yeah. The end of the day, John said a little earlier was, we put our feet in our pants no different than everybody else. And in terms of salaries and in terms of and I tell people, it's like what we're doing is we're protecting you and we're protecting your livelihood, and you get what you pay for. If you go to find a lawyer and you look in the back of the Yellow Pages and you get, hey, $99 special and I'll get you off your charge, and guess what? You're going to get a $99 lawyer to try to get you out of trouble, rather than, hey, guess what? I'm going to do my research. I'm going to look at a decent lawyer. I'm going to pay the money, but in the end, it's going to benefit me because guess what? I'm going to get off whatever charges I was accused of, whether I was right or wrong, indifferent, whatever it may be. At the end of the day, I'll tell you right now, I would be making more money at UPS because I have the opportunity to be a feeder right now. I would we make less pension at 952 than you guys do at UPS. And don't get me wrong, you guys bust your balls off no different than every other industry, Albertsons, OCTA, Coca-Cola, our GKN, every member works their ass off. But at the end of the day, our job never stops. It's 24/7. And for you to say, well, you shouldn't get paid enough, we want you to live as if you're not in the union. We want you to not have benefits as if you were not in the union. Every time we go to a contract negotiation for our members, we're going to get you better wages, better pension, better healthcare, better work rules. We want you driving nice cars. We want you going on elaborate vacations because that's our job, is to let you live that dream, that American dream. We want you to put your kids through college. But when it comes to me, John, and the e-board and our business agents, nope, you can't. You have to be down here. You can't live like that. And it's like, well, how unfortunate is that? You know what I mean? In that case, why do I do this then?
Yeah, I checked the look. I checked the look at the finances for May, and people say, oh, $200,000 for salaries, that's a lot of money. 36,000 for travel expenses, and it's like, I don't work in a local, to me it's a lot of money, but at the same time, it's like, people have their ideas, right? Well, we should be saving this money, for a strike fund, like the IBT has money for a strike, for strikes, but that money could go quick, and we need to, people want to, everyone has their opinion how to balance a budget.
I'm glad you're bringing that up. We did. I mean, if people are saying, well, we should save money for a strike fund, this local tried to pass a strike fund that would have approved our members' benefits during a strike. And it was a gentleman that's actually running against us now that asked me and said, Eric, can you please put this up? Can you please push for a strike fund? And I told him, yes, I would. And again, I get it. When you ask a Teamster for $2 or $3 or $10 a month they'll go buy 2 Starbucks coffees in one day and spend $15. But if you ask them for $10 to secure their livelihood and to secure their opportunity to fight a company when it comes to a strike, they won't give it to you. They won't give it to you. And I get it. And I understand that, you know what I mean? And that's where some of the fear factor of unions needs to be dissipated. We are so overlooked by the government, Steve, in terms of government, in terms of internal audits, in terms of us having our own accountant, our CPA. This isn't the 20s and 30s where I could take hundreds of thousands of dollars and nobody's ever going to find out where it went. Every day we have the government looking at the Teamsters Union and saying, what are you doing with the money? If I give a shirt away without getting a name as to who I gave that shirt to, they have the right to question me and say, okay, you stole a shirt. It's not, people say, and so again, we did try starting a strike fund, and it didn't pass. It's unfortunate for the members because all it was going to do was help the members. And I get it. The narrative was being spun. They just want an extra account so they can spend more money. That's farthest from the truth. I mean, that's just, pure haters. You know what I mean? But again, in terms of the money, we're as transparent as possibly. We read our financials every single time, every single month at our membership meeting. We've had, whether they're our supporters or not supporters, have come to our local and said, hey, do you mind if I look over the financials in detail? We just had one from OCTA come in and say, hey, can I look at the financials in detail? Here you go. Look at them, do whatever you're going to do with them. Figure out what you want to figure out. Whatever we need to give you, we'll give you per the law. Here you go. No issues. You know what I mean? But people want to spin the narrative and say, well, we do spend $36,000. But you know what, Steve? Some of it may be either mandatory meetings we have to go to, and every slate that says they're going to but every slate that says they're going to run this local, and I guarantee you they're not going to win, and then I don't want to get too far into it because we're going to work harder and smarter than everybody. But if they were to just happen to say they're going to win, they have to go to these meetings too, and on their reports it's going to say that they had travel expenses every month, sometimes 3 times a month. Our UPS business agents have to go to panels to put on cases for our membership. I was just in Idaho this week, putting on panels where we got a member from 396 $4,000 in back pay. That's my job. And those expenses are towards the hotel, towards the plane ticket. And that's what people don't see. They just like to think like, oh, hey, they spent $36,000 on going to Europe. No, we didn't. We spent it on the membership. It was for the benefit of the membership. And they want to spin it that way, but they don't see it. And you know what? If they say they're not going to go to panels, they may not.
And then the properties too, right? They bring in the properties. He's selling the properties because we're going under, and we need money. And
so I just recently, and I'll let you talk, John. I know I'm doing most of the talking, but I'll let you do. But I'll tell you right now, I'm going to say this clear: we may not have money in hard dollars in our bank account, which we do. We have a lot of money in our bank accounts. We have savings accounts. We just closed out our last month at the general membership meeting with over $500,000 in our bank account. But other than hard money in our bank account, we have property all around our local that has been owned since the 60s and 70s, well over $1 million. So guys, when they say
$10 million,
over 10 million, I'm sorry, yeah, $10 million. So when they say you guys are going to go bankrupt, well, think about this, Steve. I would have to spend all the money in our accounts that we have right now.
Yeah.
We would have to sell all the property around our thing and spend that $10 million. And then I would have to sell the main property our main hall, which is probably another $3-4 million, and spend all that money before I could say, hey, we're going bankrupt now. It's not going to happen. It's just a way for them right now to say, let's throw something up against the wall for them to say that they're going bankrupt. Prove it to me then. Prove it to me. We're not going bankrupt. We haven't had to take any loans out to pay bills. We're a nonprofit organization, which means every month that money comes in, our job is to try to spend that money reverse back on the members, whether it's through representation, whether it's through a Christmas party, whether it's through travel, whether it's through putting on panels, whether it's through arbitrations, legal fees. That's our job. It's not my job to hoard the members' money and say, hey, all this money is sitting over here doing no good for the membership.
All right. So I want to add to it a little bit. Couple things. One, I heard the other podcasts that were speaking of, we need to have a shitload of money in our bank account to pay for strike funds because we can't afford it. People going on strike. First of all, we've had a few strikes at Local 952. We fared just well.
Which one was that? Was that
two OCTA? We had an OCTA mechanics, and then we had access bus drivers.
No, I thought you meant which podcast was talking about we needed a big bank account. The general fund does not pay strike fund money, nor can it, nor will it for any local in the IBT. We are a non-profit. All right. So people are starting to, it's like they don't understand we're a nonprofit. We're not there to make $20 million, and nor I know locals that have gotten in trouble because they've had too much money in their strike funds because you're a nonprofit, right? So there's got to be, there has to be a balance, and at the end of the day, it's just like sitting on a Taft-Hartley trust fund, which Eric and I both sit on. You have a fiduciary responsibility to take care of the membership. Our local financially, and thanks to Eric, overseeing it, is in way better financial shape, tons better from when we took office.
Like Republic Services, right? Don't we have Republic Services?
Yes, we do.
Yes,
Didn't we get a grievance check?
absolutely. 100. How much we get? 100.
It was like
Actually, we're still getting paid.
I have it here as $293,000.
It was the total settlement would have been up to $293,000, depending on. So it was a subcontracting grievance.
Yeah.
And I confused it. We also won one at CVS. So
Yeah.
it was 134,000 or something like
134,000.
that. But the one at which is a fight across the country, support those guys. They're still on strike all over the country, but they're a shit company that's a contract that we inherited that had language in it, and UPS would never freaking fathom having language like this. But whoever had negotiated that contract prior to us coming in, and whenever, I don't know who, and I don't know why, but they had language in there saying that they could subcontract 50% of the work, non-union. So I've got 26 Class A union truck drivers that go from the MRF to the dumps. And then I've got a bunch of ecology guys that go in there and also are running across the strike lines right now, right? That language was put into the contract. But not only was that language in the contract, which who in the hell gives away 50% of your work? But on top of that, they weren't even getting 50% of the work. We were getting about 25% of the work. And they were saving all the money for ecology to do that. So we did. We grieved, we arbitrated, we got a settlement. So that is actually getting ready we're waiting for this thing to settle on the contract side of it, but we're also going to turn that and send that back because they're still not adhering to it. They're literally writing our guys an extra check every single month due to the agreement that we got in the settlement, but they were supposed to be in full compliance in 9 months, and it's been a year. So we're going to get another one, right? So, but yeah, I mean, you know, and going back to kind of the salary thing and what a lot of people don't understand, and I have stewards that actually have gotten mad at me. I mean, so like we pay lost wages, right? We pay a lot of lost wages. We have huge committees in our negotiations, and we pay that out. I've had stewards say, hey, my normal workday is 16 hours. Well, you're guaranteed 8. We pay 8, but they want us to pay them 16, right? And they'll get mad. They'll be like, hey, no bullshit. Why would I go do something for you if I don't make my normal money I would make every day? But nobody does that. But on the flip side, if you work for the union and the local, you're expected to, right? I could tell you, I've gone 4 months straight without a day off working my business agent or our business agents, literally when we're not dark for the summer, they have 1 day every month that they got to come in on they have a 6-day work week built in that they don't get any extra money for, right? Not only that, you're going in at 2:00 in the morning. You're getting calls at 8:00 at night.
I mean, we're going in tomorrow to go over Albertson's proposals tomorrow on a Sunday.
On a Sunday.
Starting at 9:30 and work until about 1:00 tomorrow to make sure that we have proposals ready for Albertson's this coming week in negotiations.
And they don't get paid overtime. We don't, so I mean, it's a wash. What I'll say is when I ran with Eric, and like he said, I know it's hard to get UPS business agents because they're taking a pay cut coming into the local, right? I will tell you, when I ran with Eric, I took 59 working days off, and I still made $100,000. So at the end of the day, and that was $4 an hour ago. You know what I mean? So,
I mean, Steven, the way to kind of answer it, and I think this kind of fits into it, and I'm not going to be afraid to address it, is, the cars. Everybody says cars, trucks, this, that, blah, blah, blah. Let's go through a couple things. First off, the previous administration prior to us, Secretary Treasurer had a Cadillac DeVille, or a Cadillac. Okay, the president from UPS had a pretty nice Jeep. It is what it is. Some of the very people that are running against us have had union cars. You have 2 from the Dignity and Pride slate that are saying, "Oh, we're going to get rid of the cars." When they worked for the local, guess what? They had a union-owned truck, or they took an allowance for using their personal truck. When they needed gas to go do business, they went ahead and they used the union credit card to provide their cars with gas to get to the different locations that they needed to go to represent members. And that's not going to change. It's never going to change. I don't care what they say. They're not going to change that. There's no way anybody's going to come in here and say, we're going to use our own cars, but we're going to pay for our own gas, and we're not going to take an allowance for us putting miles on our car. It's not going to happen. A gentleman from the other slate, guarantee he has used a union-owned car, or he's gotten an allowance for a union-owned car. And
What's the allowance?
so right now it's $850 a month.
not enough.
It's
Well, yeah, you could. That people think that they show so he's got an $80,000 truck. You know, you probably get a deal if you buy them in bundles. But
not only
I
that,
know
but
there's an allowance, and then you can put that allowance to the car, and then whatever's left over, you pay yourself.
yes, you pay
Yeah.
yourself. But for the most part, you know what I mean? And honestly, think about this. $850 is probably, I mean, what's the average car payment this month?
About
700,
800, but yeah,
700 bucks?
yeah,
That
brand new
doesn't
car.
include their oil
Maintenance.
changes, their
Mhm.
brakes, their wear and tear. But yet, no different than, I mean, it's like John walking into Albertsons and them saying, hey, you have to buy your own tractor. We'll provide the trailer and the food, but you have to buy your own tractor and you have to pay your own gas. You know what that is? Those are non-union people that wish they could have our job. But at the end of the day, they're saying, hey, Eric, you can't live that way. And it's not that I'm living luxury. We use those trucks for strike sign haulings to take people to and back from events that we have. We put ice chests back there. You know what I mean? So
Barbecues.
barbecues. You know what I mean? Trust me, it's not. And again, I think it's an integrity problem when you have people from the other sides that are going to run against us saying, oh, we're going to change that. Why didn't you change it when you worked for the local for the last 5 years and you used a union-owned truck and you used gas? Rightfully so. It was rightfully so. I'm not saying he was bad for doing it, but he used a union-owned truck. His partner got an allowance to use his truck and used a credit card to put gas in his truck
And a lift kit.
and a lift kit to do membership issues. You know what I mean? But now they're saying, oh, you guys can't do it. Again, it's just another something to try to throw. Why don't you talk about our contracts? You want to know why? Because there hasn't been one contract in Local 952 since 2020 that has went backwards. Everything has been a benefit. Why aren't you talking about the representation, the membership involvement, the respect that Local 952 gets across the country, and specifically on the West Coast and in the Southwest of California? How about you talk about how the companies now fear the Teamsters walking into their yards because they know when we walk in, it means business. It's business time. They won't talk about that, but they're going to say, I'm going to make them wear nicer clothes. Nicer clothes don't get you better contracts. Oh, I'm not going to let them drive cars. You're going to drive cars, trust me. But even if you took your cars away, doesn't mean you can negotiate a contract, doesn't mean you can work with a company to get members their jobs back. I mean, these people really need to think about what's being said out there. You know what I mean?
All right, let's move on. Let's get another question in here. This is for you, Eric, and then I got one for you, or you guys could both chime in. This is a UPS one. The Teamsters national leadership has pushed for stronger contracts like the 2023 UPS agreement, ensuring air-conditioned vehicles. How are you ensuring Local 952 members see tangible benefits from these national efforts? And have there been any challenges in implementation?
So let's just be, and I think I said it a little earlier.
Yeah.
Guys. If we could walk up to a company every day, shake their hand, pat them on the back, and say, hey, it's kumbaya. This is the perfect world. Please do this. There's no need for a union, guys. There's a reason why the Teamsters are around. There's a reason why labor unions have been around even prior to the Teamsters, because there's always been workers being shit on by corporate America to make more money and to take more money out of pockets of the workers. So to that being said, you know what? There's always going to be challenges at UPS. There's always going to be issues at UPS.
Like we got Roadie. Have you heard of Roadie?
Yes.
Spark?
And
Okay.
I'll tell you right now, Local 952 was the first local to ever take up the Roadie case through the national panel. And guess what? Our case is still referenced, with Roadie. But that being said, there's always going to be issues at UPS, guys.
Yeah.
We can have 995 language. You're always going to have an asshole manager that's going to try to push that 95 language. We have harassment language, clear cut, where our members now get paid if they are proven to be harassed, up to 5 times their hourly wage. You're still going to get that asshole manager that's not going to adhere to our contract. You brought air conditioning up. We pushed for air conditions in this new contract. It's rolling out a little slow, but it's not because the Teamsters union is rolling out slow. It's because the company is fighting us tooth and nail to adhere to the contract. And no matter who's in office, UPS is always going to fight to not hold up their end of the bargain in a UPS contract.
Yeah.
The one thing I will tell you right now, and our UPSers need to see this, is guess what? I'm a package representative. I sit and I represent the West Coast for the IBT and for UPS Teamsters on the West Coast. What does that mean? I have direct contact to the package division as to what's going on. Guess what? Local 952 has a front row seat at the bargaining table to say, this is what we need. This is our issues. This is what we need to see done in the upcoming negotiations. Eric, what do you think it is that could be done for the members better? Boom, I get those calls. When I hear members' concerns, I'm the first one to hear those concerns and say, hey, guess what, guys? This is what it is. Now, I'm not saying that other locals don't get taken care of. It's a perk that we get, and it was because of what we produced. We produced a local that is showing strong leadership. We produced a local that is showing strong involvement. We are showing that we are a local that is militant more than a lot of other people out there. And what does that produce? That produces recognition. And we've been recognized. I'm a package representative. James Lopez is a warehouse representative for the grocery industry. But again, what does it bring to the table for us? I don't know. I don't know if these guys, and again, they ain't going to win. We're going to work hard and smarter. But if they miraculously won, I don't know if they're going to have that relationship with UPS. I mean, think about this, Steve. Whoever wins this next election will be at the bargaining table for UPS. And right now you have people out there saying, we need to make this an all grocery local. It needs to be an all grocery local. Screw UPS, screw CVS, screw Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and screw all the bus companies and all the school bus companies we have. If you're out there saying we need to become a grocery local, what do you think is going to happen when UPS goes to negotiations? No different than if I were to have 7 UPSers on a slate. Guarantee Albertsons would say, well, I mean, do we not get any love at this local? It's not about being a UPS local. It's not about being a Albertsons local. It's not about being a bus local. You know what it is? It's about being a Teamster local. At the end of the day, we need to start realizing we're Teamsters that work at these companies. We don't work at these companies and happen to be Teamsters. And so again, I know I'm going off a little bit on a tangent, but again, to you, Steve, I mean, what's ensuring that our members are being taken care of is the fact that, guess what? We now have a IBT that is pushing UPS around to the brink of, we're going to strike you guys if we have to. We have me as a package representative. I have relationships with, newly elected, our newly placed Western Regional Vice President, Victor Mineros, who's the Southwest Chairman. I talked to Mark Davidson, who runs UPS for the Teamsters on all over the West Coast. I work under his leadership. So again, our members really need to digest what they're hearing, because at the end of the day, you can have all the promises given to you want. You need to ask, can those promises be fulfilled? Because at the end of the day, the only people that are going to get screwed over is you and your family. And you don't want to give that up based on, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to make people dress nicer, and I promise you I'll take cars away. And you got to stop listening to that mumbo jumbo. Look at the product that we've given you. Look at the changes we've made at Local 952 over the last 5 years, and ask yourself, are we better than we were 5 years before? Guaranteed. At UPS, Steve, you see, how many times do you see, well, I mean, I know you're off right now, but how many times do you see Nick Bruno in that building?
He's there every day.
4 or 5 times a day, right? Did we ever see that before? We never used to see the business agents there 5 times a week. Our stewards at UPS, like John said earlier, we've empowered them, which in turn has given them the power to question us more, which is fine. We can take those questions. But prior to us taking over, our stewards had no clue what was going on at UPS. I mean, there was real no power. Now our stewards walk around UPS. Dude, they run the show. You know what I mean? At our other industries, our stewards, they have the power to walk up to a manager and say, this is my issue and you're going to deal with it. Not shut up and get back into the trailer because the Teamsters don't mean anything here. That's all changed. You know what I mean? Nothing's perfect. We don't walk on water, brother.
Never will be.
You know what I mean? So
I guess I'll continue on with the question then. I'll save this question for you, John. you know, without naming specifics, there has been allegations of mismanagement or favoritism, you know, in 952's operations. You know, well, we could just stay focused on UPS because I don't know what goes on in other barns. Um, can you walk us through and how you handle these criticisms and what steps you've taken to ensure transparency and fairness? You know, with, you know, for example, shop stewards. You know, you came in, you know, you know, let a lot of people go, you put people in place, and you know how we used to do things. It was always voting people in, voting people out, and that's not in our amendments, right? You know, as
No,
far
no,
as yeah,
we have. So let me touch on that, and you guys got to really understand. So first off, and I'm glad you brought that up, Steve. I am. I'm a UPSer.
Yeah.
I bleed brown. That's where I came out of.
a lot of people were upset,
but-
especially a lot of older guys.
Yeah,
You know,
but I've learned.
That's not blood; those are brown socks.
But I've learned to love my grocery guys. I've learned to love my transit people. I've learned to love all the other industries. My my aerospace, my my beverage guys. You know what I mean? I've learned to love them all. They're all Teamsters. But the one thing that I think you brought up is you only know what's going on at UPS.
Yeah.
And that's all you hear. You just hear
Yeah,
what's
exactly.
happening at UPS. You know what I mean? And that's really one thing we've tried breaking down at this local is, like John said earlier, when you see a picket line now, it's not just bus drivers on it. We have UPSers coming to picket lines for other industries now. But again, to the transparency and to the favoritism, when we first took over, and I get it, Steve, when we first won, like majority of the other people out there, they never thought two people with a passion to run a union coming straight from the truck were ever going to beat a 20-year incumbent. Nobody ever thought that. You had certain people out there that figured we have it in the bag. We've been here 20 years. We really don't need to campaign. We really don't need to work for the membership the way we should. These people are always going to keep us in office. So when we did win that election, the first thing in their head was disbelief. Oh shit, these guys freaking won. The second thing that came about it was, okay, because we're mad they won, what do we do? And honestly, Steve, we literally had some of our past shop stewards that, I get it, we're supporters. I get it, you were upset. I get it, your team lost. I get it, you were unhappy. But at the end of the day, you, instead of saying, but I don't care who's in office, my job is to represent the members. It's all about the members. We had shop stewards literally doing anything and everything they could to try to make me fail. And rather than saying, hey, I'm a Teamster and I'm going to help you up, Eric, I'm going to pick you up. I may not agree with you completely, but I'm going to help you walk and fight the fight. I'm going to pick a rifle up and we're charging this hill. I had people running up the hill and shooting back at me with the company. We had shop stewards telling the companies what we were going to do in a grievance meeting. We had shop stewards telling management, don't talk to Nick Bruno. Don't talk to Nick Bruno. Keep him out of the office. I only want to talk to you. We had shop stewards after grievance meetings walking up to management and labor, the very people that fuck us over every day and try to fire our people and try to steal the money from our people. We had our shop stewards walking up to those people and shaking their hand and saying, hey, have a nice day, but then walking right by the union reps and saying, and with their nose held high, snubbing us. What does that do? What are you doing? You're not hurting me. I mean, yeah, it bums me out. But in reality, at the end of the day, you're not hurting me. You know who you're hurting? The 9,500 members, the 9,000 members we have behind us saying, please protect me. Please handle my grievances. Please make sure I'm safe. Please make sure my family is safe. And you're doing everything you can to try to ruin my day, but you don't see the big picture. You're ruining our members' day. And at some point, I could have either let the poison continue to ruin the stew, or I had to make some changes, and I had to do what was right for our membership. And to be honest with you, and I know, again, you say it's just the UPS. It was. The majority of the contention was at UPS Anaheim, which I think is far from the truth now. You know what I mean? I walk in there and things are completely changed. Maybe not in certain centers, but I mean, a lot of that contention has changed. But what I will say is, moving forward, there was shop stewards outside of UPS that they came straight up and said, Eric, I don't support you. I didn't support you in this past election, but you won. And guess what? It's my job to work with you. What can I do to help you out, man? Here's our grievances. Here's the procedure. And they didn't take into accountability, well, I'm so mad that my team lost, and I'm so upset that I'm going to take my pail from the sandbox and I'm going to go play somewhere else. That's not the Teamster way of doing things. So again, if people think that I was wrong for taking stewards out, that were literally trying to ruin our chances of protecting the membership every single day, then you need to look in the mirror and say, what are you really here for? Because a steward are members that literally shit on their union and trip them up to make them fail. Dude, go work for management, man. That's not our job here at the Teamsters Union. Our job is to protect our members. We're a family. We're an army. And at the end of the day, when that line is drawn down the middle, I'm only on one side. I got my Teamster brothers and sisters. That's who I'm going to fight for every day. That's who I'm going to protect every day. And if it ever comes to question on what side you are, you better damn well know I'm a fucking Teamster. And that's what I'm going to bleed. Your management, I don't trust you. I know you'll screw our members over at any cost, and I'm going to make sure you never get that chance. But I don't need to see my own team on that side saying, ha ha, I'm fighting against you. So they can say, yes, we did. We did have to take some stewards out in the past, but I think from where it's at then to where it's at now, our stewards are doing a good job. We disagree with a lot of our stewards sometimes, but we work it out for the benefit of our members. You know what I mean? But again, once it comes to, I'm going to take things personal and try to trip the unit up so they can fail. You're not failing me, man. You're failing the membership.
Would you ever consider, if you win this election, to change the amendment to having the members vote in shop stewards?
You know what? I would. This is the way I will answer it. There is some locals that have those amendments, and there's some locals that don't. Majority of the locals don't have an amendment to allow shop stewards to be mandatory elected. I will tell you right now, Steve, majority, 99% of our stewards are elected in. 99% of our stewards at Local 952 are elected in. And some of them don't agree with us. Some of them don't support us. We just had a steward from Albertsons win, and he's not a supporter of ours, but he won. He won. It is what it is. As long as you follow the contract or not. I think the question is, do we open the door to let's make you accept me as a steward, and for the next 3 years, I'm going to do anything and everything to ruin your life, to ruin the member's life, to try to trip up the union from succeeding. How do we sit there and how do we work with that? You know what I mean? And you know what, Steve, I guess it's comparable to, imagine me sitting in a marriage for 3 years, knowing that my wife's cheating on me. She's doing everything she can. She's, how do you work with that? At some point, you got to cut that part of the cancer off and say, man, get out of here. You know what I mean? You're not helping out the union. And I know some people want to twist it as to, well, you just pick your friends. Guess what? You got a steward in Tustin Center, doesn't support us. No, I know it. Okay, helped him out a lot during when I was a steward. You know what I mean? But he's still a steward. He does his job. He may not agree with us all the time, but he does his job. So again, I think the answer to would we have an amendment, ultimately, it's
obviously,
it's up to the members.
Yeah, if they want to vote them in. But if they're doing that to you, then ask them, hey, dude, no, we're not going to play these games.
And honestly, that's the only time. It's not like I said, hey, John Green won, me and him don't get along, so I'm just going to go ahead and take him out. That's not been the case. Every case has been proven to where we've said you did something wrong, you purposely were trying to hurt the union, and we don't just on a one-time basis, hey, you're gone. Steve, we literally sit our stewards down and say, hey, what's the issue? Why did you go down this road? Okay, hey, we'll give you one more, we'll give you another chance. Let's try to work on. Sometimes it's just non-education. They didn't know better. Okay, cool. I'm not going to remove you because you didn't know what you were doing. But if you're purposely out there to hurt the union, and you're purposely out there to try to trip up the union, when I say the union, the local union and the leadership from doing their job, again, you can go ahead and check mark your box. Haha, Eric and John didn't get what they wanted this time. But you know who really didn't get what they wanted? The members standing behind me. That's who you helped screw over in the big picture. You know what I mean? So
I mean, it's because, also it's like, for example, right, in my center, we had two recent, over the years, we had just two appointed shop stewards that have lost their jobs, and first of all, I hate to see anybody lose their job. And to me, it just, when they're appointed and this happens, the first thing that goes in my mind is what is the leadership thinking? You know what I mean? Where's the judgment coming from that? You know, and this is just one event. You know what I mean? Like I just, you know, I'm gonna tell you what I've seen. You know, that's why I asked. You know, like, you know, because if it were to happen, if the members, you know, voted in these shop stewards and it happens, and it's, hey, you know, you guys voted them in. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I mean, and you can go down that road, Steve. You know, I mean, and I don't think it's I don't think there's really a right or a wrong answer in terms of
Yeah.
you know, well, look at you appointed and he got fired.
Yeah.
We've had plenty voted in shop stewards that have got fired.
Yeah.
Why? Because they think when they become a shop steward, they can do whatever they want. We've had plenty of shop stewards vocally out there, and it's changed a hell of a lot over the 5 years. But prior to coming in, we had a lot of shop stewards out there that said, I'm just becoming a shop steward so I don't have to pay my dues, man. We've heard it time and time again, you know what I mean? So I don't have to pay my dues. I get it, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, when we either have a shop steward election, which is majority of the time, 99% of the time, we have shop steward elections. But in that one instance where we have to appoint somebody because something's going wrong or because we had to remove somebody for doing something wrong, we don't have a crystal ball. We go off of what our membership tells us, and we go off of what we've seen. And I'll tell you right now, picking a shop steward is one, are you involved? Are you there for everybody? Or are you there for yourself? Two, are you involved? I don't want somebody that's going to be a shop steward that doesn't show up to any meetings, that never comes to work. I mean, at the end of the day, we want shop stewards to be involved. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying you can't take days off or anything like that, but at the end of the day, you're going to come get educated. You know, some of the guys that are running against us that have been shop stewards recently, dude, one of the guys, and to the shop steward thing, I'll tell you right now, Steve, one of the guys from Solidarity Slate, he's running against us. He was just voted in as a shop steward. If I really wanted to be an asshole, I'd say, hey, you know what? I'm not even going to let this guy become a shop steward. He became a shop steward. He was voted in. But I'll tell you right now, we've had 2 or 3 Albertsons meetings. We've had probably 1 or 2 shop stewards meetings. And guess who never shows up to those things? That gentleman. And yet he wants to run the local. Why aren't you showing up? You're a shop steward. Bare minimum, show up to these educational seminars. Show up to your own craft meetings so you can voice your opinion. But yet, you're not showing up to that. So again, I mean, the stewards, I think the bad vibe of Eric's removing stewards, I'll tell you right now, majority of the stewards that were removed were Anaheim. Because when we won, Steve, you had a chunk of shop stewards that openly told people, when Eric comes in here, we're going to do everything to make him fail. They were telling people that. There was some shop stewards that said, under their leadership, I won't be a shop steward anymore. Why? It doesn't matter who you're being a shop steward for. It's about representing the membership. So when you, again, to UPS, when you say, well, shop stewards, you're only seeing what's going on at UPS. The 99% of our other shop stewards, whether they supported us when we first took over or didn't, worked with the local union. They worked with me and John. And now, I mean, our shop steward seminars, have 150 to 200 people there?
More, yeah.
Easy to support us, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
You got to realize, too, I think you got to remember, too, that because I came out of grocery and in other than learning in the local about the UPS world, I always say you guys are in a brown bubble and don't understand what goes on.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I've had other guys from different barns on the show, you know, like and I try to learn, you know, like what's going on over there.
Yeah.
You know, like just to understand, you know what I mean? So like, you know, what they're going through. Cause at the end of the day, I say, you're my brother, you know, you're my sister, and you know, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
You
And in the grocery world, we've always voted in the shop stewards. Right?
Yeah.
And that's how it's brought up. And I agree with that. I think you should be choosing the guys that are in your barn to represent you. But what I will say is, now that I've been in the local and had to work with some people that purposely try to mess things up, I understand why some locals would want to appoint their stewards, because if I'm going to go in and I'm going to be criticized on the work I do, how am I going to have the one guy in there that's going to try to sabotage that work just for political reasons and make the whole membership pay? And I'll give you an example of it. We were doing a certain negotiations a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago maybe, and you know, everybody says, why when you're in negotiations, you don't tell us every proposal, tell us what's going on, every tentative agreement, whatnot. Well, because There's a reason for it, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, that's why you have a negotiating committee. Sean O'Brien now it's in the Constitution that you have to have the stewards at the negotiations. Well, you can do a lot of damage at the negotiations too, right? So at the end of the day, that's why you need to be able to trust your
People you
committee
trust, yeah.
and work together, because we had somebody that we told him, you don't leak stuff out. And in the middle of the negotiations, somebody put something up on Facebook that no less than 5 minutes prior was at the negotiations and started doing a vote no campaign before they're even done and trying to get an offer. And guess what? Company stood the fuck up, went the fuck home, said, we'll send you a proposal on the fucking mail. That's a shitload of damage that you're doing
I'd be
to a
pissed off.
shitload of members. So at the end of the day, you have to be able to, it's like I'm playing football. I want to win the Super Bowl, but I got a wide receiver that don't want to fucking catch the ball just to make me look bad.
I was just
Okay, so
I was just going to use that. You know what I mean? It's
I learned those shit from
Yeah,
him.
they're far apart, the analogies, but I mean, imagine being on a football team and you know your left guard is purposely missing blocks every single time because he's mad at the coach or because he's mad at the quarterback.
Yeah, and he gave it Sunday.
I mean,
You
at
seen
some
that movie?
point, do you sit there and say, well, he has a contract, you know, he's allowed to make us fail? No, get off my team and let's put somebody in there that's going to do the right job. And if they want to criticize me for ultimately making a very tough decision, Steve, a very tough decision to have to remove people because they were purposely trying to do things to hurt our local, which in turn, like I said, there's only one thing that matters in this union, our members. That's it. And if you're purposely doing things to hurt the membership, then you need to go. You need to go.
And I can say that, like, you're not perfect. You make mistakes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, you made.
I don't walk on water, man.
You know what I mean? I don't want to go. It's been years. You know what I mean? But I don't want to go back to what happened over there at Southern Wine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was. People make mistakes, and you went through the fucking mill, and I definitely. You know,
well, let's talk about that.
okay,
Steve.
if you want, we can talk about what happened with Vivian.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So,
Okay.
and it's still, my understanding, my business agent just went down there 2 or 3 weeks ago to deal with an issue where the accusation was that a certain member is still bullying and still going to management on certain members. Okay. After a certain time, we couldn't sit there and say, just keep letting this, at the time, a shop steward, then we had to remove her as a shop steward. But at the time, she was constantly bullying her members. She was going to management.
You sure you can still? I don't want you to get in trouble, dude.
Hey, you
you
know what?
already went. You already got in trouble, dude.
No, I'll take the bullets. It is what it is.
Okay.
And I'll tell you right now, it was proven. And if you look at the joint council letter that was sent to me, yes, they said we had to reinstate her as an active member. But in the same ruling, it said, although, and I don't want to say verbatim, but it said, although that there was proof that she did go to management on her fellow coworkers, we don't think it's that big to take her out of the union. Me personally, at the end of the day, you're going to try to get somebody fired. You're going to try to take somebody's job away, and you're a Teamster. I don't think you should be sitting in the same room with us. Now, obviously, there's a difference of opinion. I will tell you this right now. The head of the Dignity and Pride Slate, who was her business agent, he was the one who pushed for a permanent ban. When we said, no, let's go ahead and just do 5 years. And then we actually, me and John came to an agreement to say, you know what, let's go ahead and just do a 2-year ban. Let's hopefully she learns her lesson, stops telling on people, stops bullying people, and we'll go that route. He wanted a permanent ban on her. Danny Herbert wanted a permanent ban on her.
Wow.
We didn't go that route. And we have that in minutes. We have that in the minutes. You can ask our executive board. But at the end of the day, just because she didn't get the punishment that we felt was right, and the joint council felt that maybe the punishment didn't fit the crime, it was still in the joint council's ruling that although it was proven that she did tell management on another union member, we just don't think she should be punished that much.
Yeah.
To me, throw the punishment aside, it was proven you went to management on another member and tried to get them fired. That's a no-no. That's a no-no in the Teamster.
Yeah.
So, and that addresses a huge issue that we have in the local now. And I will tell you, as a matter of fact, in my Albertsons Irvine yard, because that ruling came down because of the fact that, I mean, lawsuits and stuff have come against the unions in the past for that type of thing. And look, back in the old days, nobody dealt with lawsuits; they handled it on their own. But we have a situation that we're still trying to deal with in Irvine. That I have one particular guy in that yard that literally goes to rat out people at HR every single day.
Jeez.
And we've got, we're going to bring him in front of the board, and we're going to address it. But where that one handcuffed us is because the ruling wasn't that she didn't do it. The ruling was because she wasn't disciplined. And therefore, it didn't result in discipline, is why that part of it was overturned. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I've got another situation with a shop steward over at another company that has purposely, literally tried to get a guy fired, got him fired, and then ended up getting him back. We ended up getting the job back, and then his position was, no, let this guy go. He's a piece of shit. I can't have a steward doing that, right? For one. Two is, if the problem that I have in Irvine is nobody's been disciplined for that guy either, albeit 60 plus people that have been taken to HR for bullshit stuff. But nobody's been disciplined because the company knows he's a piece of shit that's just going to HR to file a bunch of false complaints.
And honestly,
But us as a union, we're handcuffed. We can't say, hey, we can't kick this
and
fucker
Steve,
out.
again, like I've said before, we can't just say this stuff without proof of I have the letter where the joint council said they find her guilty for what she did, but they just don't think that the crime fit the punishment. I get that. But at the end of the day, throw the punishment out. You still went to management and tried to get somebody fired. We have letters, emails from that certain someone at Southern Wine and Spirits writing to management, please keep the union off our property. You may not be happy with us, but you're literally throwing an email out to main labor managers, main managers of Southern Wine saying, we don't want the union. I don't want the union on here at all. Well, how about the other 60 people that want representation? How about the other 60 people that may get in trouble or may need some help with benefits or may just want to talk to us for whatever reason? I have those emails. Those can't be hidden. So I can't make accusations without having backup. They sent emails to management asking to keep us off property. We have statements from people saying, yes, she went to management on me. She took pictures of my desk and tried to get me fired. We had people pull us aside and say, hey, she bullies us. If we don't do what she says, she'll go to management on us. Those are facts. And at the end of the day, if some people want to say you made a mistake by kicking her out of the union, which I still stand by today, for kicking her out of the union for tallying on membership, for trying to get membership, it wasn't a mistake. Unfortunately, sometimes the decisions are made by the higher ups, and this time around, it was on the paper sent on the ruling. We found her guilty of what she did, and I'm not saying it's verbatim, but we pretty much found her guilty of trying to get people fired, other Teamsters fired, but we don't think that she should be punished this harsh. I get it. You don't want her to be punished that harsh. I get it. There's lawsuits out there, and some people will take that on. But at the end of the day, I still stand that. Guess what, Steve? If you had one of your fellow UPSers going to HR on you every day trying to get you fired, what would you say about that person? You'd be upset, bro. You know what I mean? So.
Okay, I got two more questions, and then you got a couple. I'm gonna give you a couple questions because I don't want to keep them all day. Maybe we'll talk about the survey, and then we're gonna take a couple calls, some random calls, and then we're gonna get you guys out of here. I know you guys are busy. Want to enjoy your day before you go back to the negotiations tomorrow.
Yeah, my son's already playing basketball. I'm missing that already.
Oh man, I'm sorry, dude.
Nah, don't even worry about it. It's important to get,
yeah, my boy, he's a senior. He's playing outside linebacker, and so it's his last year. I did a lot of coaching and stuff, and so like I know how you feel, dude. I don't miss a game. Okay, first question: if you're reelected, what's one bold initiative you plan to pursue to strengthen 952 even more, and how will you ensure it addresses the concerns raised by recent controversies?
I guess when we first came in, we had a lot of goals and a lot of things that we said, aspirations, changing meetings, You know, putting integrity back into the local, building a stronger local. Um, I would say there's always room for improvement, but I would also say when the wheel's not broke, don't fix it. Improve it, but I'm proud as hell of the team that we put together. Um, our business agents bust their ass. They literally bust their ass. You know, I had a former business agent one time. I remember because you guys were talking about like the accomplishments and things and getting good contracts, and I remember we cracked our first breaking the $2 range in the first year, and we were like hell. I mean, the stewards were jumping up and down, high fiving each other. They're like, "We got this language change. We got this. Where I mean, this is just awesome." And I remember the business agent asked me. He says, "Hey, how did?" And I said, "Oh yeah, man, we got this. We got this. We got this. We got." He goes, "God damn, that's good. There's only one problem with that." I'm like, "Problem with it? What do you mean problem with it?" He goes, "Got to be better next time." Right. So, and that kind of sums up what we do in the local. Ultimately, no matter, it's like CVS got $3 in the first year this time. What do you think they're going to be looking for next time? They're not going to be looking for $1.50. You know what I mean? And that kind of sums it up. So I guess my thing is, hey, I would strive to do better, but I would also strive to try to get the stewards more involved together, because I'll be honest with you, we have a shitload of involvement in stewards that we didn't have before. But if all of them were involved, you know how much more powerful it would be? And we're doing well now. But I'll give you instances. I have yards, I have 5 stewards. I never see 3 of them. Never come to a meeting. Well, one of them now does because they're campaigning. But prior to that, never been to a meeting, right? If we were to get them more involved, that would make us even more powerful in negotiating contracts, doing grievance meetings. And ultimately, it's after you've been in here a while and you start learning, because you're like, hey, you know, people are on the company sides doing this. We're here to kick the company's ass. Perfect example is CVS. We kicked their ass for over $700,000 in grievances and arbitrations over the 5 years, right? But we lost a lot of work. And to Eric's point, in the negotiations, we ended up getting all the Santa Barbara work back. We've already got Santa Barbara and Bakersfield back. And then the attorney called me and said, hey, we're going to probably give you everything from Patterson down, right? They've hired 20-something drivers there since we did the deal. So if we were to get all the stewards involved and on the same page, and like, you know, even the CVS deal, to where it was a great contract, there was some, you know, a past practice thing because we filed all our grievances on a past practice and won them. So they're like, hell, no more past practices, right? Well, I would too if you kicked my ass every single time on it, the attorney they had come in. But on the flip side of that, you need to all work together to deal with those issues going forward rather than putting them on the internet and fucking playing with it. At the end of the day, you need to get on the same page. I'm having meetings with the attorneys. We're going to end up doing a letter of agreement to, frankly, try to save some stuff that nobody else gets, that wasn't in writing, that was considered a past practice, right? And we'll get there. I mean, there's a way to get there. So ultimately, at the end of the day, it's keep doing what we're doing. Me personally, I try to need to take some vacations. Hopefully, I don't have so many contracts to do next time. But Eric yells at me all the time because I never go on vacation. But I'm gonna have to take it.
We're a very diverse barn. I think one of the most locals that has.
We're a general local.
Yeah.
And honestly, Steve, a lot of people don't understand what a general local is. You do have some locals out there that are only UPS, or they're only dairy. We're a general local. We have, like I said, over 40 contracts we have to bargain. We have everything from aerospace industry. These are the people that make the cockpits for all our fighter jets that protect our soldiers. We have workers of Orange County that, you know, make sure that all the drainage is good, that all the roads are good. You know, we have UPS, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Budweiser, 7-Up, Albertson, CVS. I mean, we have...
How many BAs you guys have?
Right
Not
now,
enough.
12. Not enough. Yeah, not enough. not enough. But again, I think, the question, and I won't try to go too long, but I mean, you said, what do you, if reelected, what do you plan on doing? Steve, I will tell you right now, I'm proud. I'm damn proud of what we have done. When we came in here, and think about this, Steve, we came in here to a local that had been forgotten. There was no power. Our membership was literally irrelevant. They weren't proud to wear Teamster jackets. They weren't proud to be Teamsters. I mean, we never heard anybody talking about Local 952 on podcasts back in the days. You know what I mean? And now everybody wants to talk about 952, and I'm glad. But, we came into a local and we put our feet to the ground. We put our heads in the game, and we said, hey, like I said earlier, you can scream from the stands all you want, but we're standing on the field and we're trying to get something done. And from 5 years ago to now, what we have done, and not just us, when I say what we, myself, John, the business agent, but most of all, our stewards and our membership, what they've helped us accomplish is huge compared to what we were. Again, I'm confident in saying no contracts have went backwards. I'm confident in saying that our membership is more active than ever. I'm confident in saying that our stewards have more power and more education than ever before. I'm confident in saying that when 952 is said in the workplace, people are like, oh, we better think twice about this. That's huge, and I'm proud of that. But again, with success never comes with success comes hate, but at the same time, it never comes with trying to do better than you did the day before. Because guess what? Again, like I told you guys, every day we live, our job is to make our members' lives better than the day it was before. And if we could do if I could do one thing to try to, because I think, and hitting on what John said, I think what would really help out our local union is getting our members to understand, stop beating up your union. Stop trying to work against your union.
And then they complain that when they show up to meeting, everyone wants to beat them up and they feel threatened.
Well, I mean, and that's,
it's like it comes with the territory.
Well, I'll get to that real quick, Steve, but I mean, I think the education purpose of it, if our members knew what their stewards did and what their active members did, remember, guys, I'd say 10% of our union does everything we get to carry the rest of the membership, and it is what it is.
It is, yeah.
There's always that saying, 90% of the people will follow, the 10% will do the leading.
Yeah, I mean, like the other part of the saying is you got to represent 5% of the members 95% of the time.
Yeah,
right?
so I mean,
it's the
really,
same guys that always get in trouble.
But yeah, really, Steve, we've built a local here that's thriving, and we can't stop and we can't get complacent. But I think majority of our fight every day is, brother, know what we do for you. Brother, know what your stewards do for you. Brother, know what you, our sister, know what you can do to make this union better. Because without you, there is no union. But stop sitting on the sidelines and throwing stones. To the shit talking, Steve, I mean, that's something that we're never going to change. It's gotten worse over the years because you have social media, and because people won't come up to you and say face to face what they should be saying. And I'm not saying, hey, come to me, hey, you fucking pussy, or and Paul, apologies for my cussing, but this is some of the stuff that said, or hey, I'm glad your dad or your mom died. Do this. That's a bunch of bullshit. You know what I mean? If you want to come to me, but again, the problem with it is the problem that we have in this day and age, Steve, is people jump on the internet. They talk about me. They talk about people's family. They talk about people's health concerns. They talk about tall, skinny, short, fat, curly hair, no hair, black hair, blonde hair, girl, boy, Asian, this dude. I mean, Mexican, but I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you're putting on the internet. And then when you confront them, when you say, hey man, and I'm not afraid to say it, when I stand up on the microphone, I say, hey man, I'm calling you out. You're not asking me about what happened with your contract. You're not asking me about what happened with your grievance. You're not saying I don't show enough up at the yards. You're talking about people's families. You're talking about people's issues, personal issues. You're talking about people's, kids, deceased parents. You better damn well know that I'm going to get up on that microphone and I'm going to say, what is your purpose for doing that? And then when you do that to them, they say, why would you do that to me in front of everybody? Because you're doing it to me. Unfortunately, I'm going to shoot facts at you. And I'm going to try my best to give you the answer that needs to be given to you. But when you just want to say, and that's really what's going on, Steve, right now, majority of the stuff you're seeing about myself, John, and our team is hatred. Trucks, they're stealing our money. We're in prison suits. This, that. You ain't going to hit us on our contracts because you know we're getting good contracts. You ain't going to hit us on representation because you know we represent. You just, like you said, Nick's there 5 days a week. You're not going to hit us on the membership involvement because you know our members involved. You're not going to hit us on being productive because right now and you said you've had them, Job, Ricky, Silver, these guys all have been pulled out of our local to go work and organize non-union members because of the fact that they're noticed for doing something good. So again, the shit talking's never going to stop, but I just wish, truly believe that if some of these guys that actually do all the shit talking actually spent half their time trying to help the union out rather than just shit talking a bunch of people, dude, we'd be so much better off. But no matter what, like I said, Steve, I could give you $100 bill today and you'll be my friend. If I give you 520s tomorrow, oh, how dare he give me 520s? What a piece of shit. That's just the way things are.
All right, last question. For members that are listening who feel disillusioned by past scandals or leadership challenges, what's your message to convince them that your administration is right choice for the future of Local 952?
I'll say this. There's always going to be rumors. It's been like that since the beginning of unions. One of our biggest proponents of starting rumors about unions and starting bad talk about unions and spreading lies about unions is corporate America. The very people that want to shit on American workers every day. They're going to put more money in their pocket and they're going to make sure they take more out of ours. And they're the biggest proponent of putting these lies out. At the end of the day, we don't need our members doing it to us also. If you have an issue, if you have a concern, or you're being told something, don't take it from somebody that heard it from somebody that heard it from somebody. Give us a call. Come talk to us. Hear us out. When I say, and I get it. Back in the days, guys, I mean, guess what? The Teamsters may have been mobbed up, you know what I mean? And by the way, we got great contracts back in those days, you know what I mean? But, this is 2025, guys. We have cameras. We have internal audits. We have government audits. We have quarterly audits. So all these scandals, some people want to call them scandals. There is no scandals going on. I don't have the ability to sit there and lie. And if you do get caught lying or you do get caught with your hand in the cookie jar or treating somebody the way you shouldn't have, to a certain extent, but I mean, like I said, when I say to a certain extent, you can't even tell a member like, hey, calm down. You're being an asshole, because the next thing you know, that guy's suing you because he said he was belittled. But again, what I'm trying to say is, if you're caught with your hand in the cookie jar, if you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing, then guess what? Consequences will catch up to you. It is what it is. It's going to happen. And we have enough entities out there right now that will catch that stuff happening. But again, people want to spin everything they hear. If I say, hey, guess what? I don't know. Hey, Steve, you know what? Steve went to a steward seminar with us in Las Vegas, and he wants to learn how to be a better steward and an organizer. Well, then guess what? John hears that story and he tells Bobby. But John tells Bobby, oh, Steve went to a steward seminar and wanted to be educated, but he also got to go to a club and go party. The next thing you know, you didn't even go to a steward seminar.
He just went to a party.
You landed with a helicopter on top of the Bellagio and
about right.
and DJ'd and did your podcast there. You know what I mean? And that's just the way it is. You know what I mean? Our members, the biggest thing I tell my members every day is stop distrusting your union. If we're doing something that you can not hear from somebody to somebody to somebody, if you can prove it or come down and sit down with us and say, I don't like that answer or whatever it may be, then you have your right. But before you do that, sit down with us, talk to us, give us the opportunity to provide what you're asking for. So when you walk out and you tell people, you have an educated answer for everybody. Because majority of the time, I'm confident, guys, 95% of our members want to clock in and clock out and go home. The other 5%, they will go out there and they will say whatever they can, whenever they can, and they will spin the story. But you're not doing anything to help this union out. Again, our biggest proponent of false lies and false falsehoods about the union is coming from corporate America. They have billions of dollars to lie about us every day.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, we have our own team. The one thing that I tell people too, Steve, where I'm at now, you will always see the company, whether they disagree with each other or not, when they sit on that side of the table, they are all in line and they will all do what they need to do to protect themselves.
Yeah, the
When it's
internet's
on our
crazy.
side, oh man, it's like people doing.
I read all the comments. I like to read the comments, and it's just people that are just depressed. They just always it's nothing but complain, and the people that are happy. I'll tell you this: you want to be happy, stay off the fucking internet.
Yeah, and you know, Steve, I mean, look,
and those are the people that don't comment.
You know,
Yeah.
Steve, like, look at what I mean. Me and you, and I hope you don't mind me bringing it up, but just prior to this, I mean, already you have rumors out there. Steve and Eric worked something out to where I've been texting.
I think we text like 4 times to
We
get
text
this
like
set
4
up.
times just to get this set up, but all of a sudden now there's a pact between Eric and Steve, and they're gonna AI stuff, and they're not gonna allow certain things to be. Dude, I mean, how do you get to that? How do you get to that? I mean, what in your head makes you think I'm gonna concoct this story that there's some conspiracy theory going on between Steve and Eric? You've had the other 2 slates on this podcast, and I don't hate you for it, bro.
Yeah.
That's your right. I just wanted a spot here to be able
Of course.
to rebut some of the stuff that they're saying, and you let me, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But automatically, you have Eric. You guys are in cahoots on something. So I mean, no matter what, we're never going to make everybody happy. And even though we can't, I'll tell you right now, me and John and the rest of our e-board, including our staff, including our membership, including our students, are going to keep pushing and thriving to make sure our members live better every single day.
Okay, before we get to his questions, why don't you let the listeners know when the next meeting is? So questions I didn't get a chance to ask today, they could show up in person and present those questions to you.
Perfect. So we're in dark for summer right now.
Yeah.
Which
third
is
Saturday of October, I
Again,
believe,
guys,
right?
this is a past practice that has
Yes.
been happening for years.
Yeah.
Locals go dark for the summer.
We didn't start that
Yes.
this year.
Yes, okay. But either way, our next meeting will be in October, the 3rd Saturday of October.
Correct.
They can come, they can ask questions. You know what I mean? They can do whatever they want. You don't have to wait for the meeting. At the end of the day, call the local union.
Come to the hall. We're still
Come to
there.
the hall. Go to the hall. Press, whatever my extension is. It goes to my phones. I can answer your questions. John can answer your questions. If we don't have the answers, we'll get you to your BA who have the questions. And if for some reason, if you're not getting any answers, make sure you call me or John, and I guarantee you, we will get on that phone and say, hey, why have these calls been answered by your business agent? But where that doesn't happen. But again, there's just so many avenues and at the end of the day, walk in the front door of the union hall and say, Eric, can I talk to you? If you haven't done that yet, then you haven't even started the first step of the process, man. But don't go get on the internet and start spewing what you're spewing.
Okay. What questions do you want to ask them? So James over here went all week. He talked with drivers, part-timers, and asked them, what questions would you like to ask Eric and John? And I told him, to pick some questions that, obviously, are good questions. This is a family show, so I don't want to be too, I know, we have people that get angry.
Really quick before you answer that, Jay,
Yeah.
one of the things that I was reminded of, or that popped in my head, August 23rd, we are having you don't have to pay anything. We're going to provide snacks and appetizers. We're going to have a meet and greet, a town hall at a pizza parlor called the Bowery in downtown
Oh,
Fullerton.
I know where that's at.
Yeah, the Bowery. Anybody and everybody can come show up, ask us the questions, get the answers. You know what I mean? That's your opportunity to come down and talk to us, talk to me and John, and say, hey, these are the answers we have before we want to mark that ballot. So again,
perfect.
we're not asking for any donations, any money. Just come down and sit with us and say, hey, this is the question I have for you.
Okay. James, we grab the mic there. Go ahead.
Hello, thank you guys for coming on. We're just gonna get into it. First, you recently said that you changed it from Wednesdays, the union meeting at 7 to Saturday mornings at 10.
Correct.
For more people to come in the hub. I asked 38 total people since the change if they go in. Nine said yes, and then 29 said no. Different reasons, real quick. Were for one, they can't make it. 2, they're drivers, so they have to work. and then a couple others from different people said that they didn't feel necessarily welcome or like maybe intimidated by you guys. So if you guys have any responses to that real quick, feel free.
Yeah, and I think John can hit a little bit too, but I mean, we did. Remember, and I was there. Steve has been there. John has been there. Prior to 2020 and us taking over the local union and getting the opportunity by the members to represent them, our meetings were at 7:30 on the third Wednesday of every month. I'm sorry. You would rush to the union hall. I mean, and I was a very active member. I made a point. I'm pretty sure Steve used to get my text, "Hey, union meeting tonight. Try to make it." You know what I mean? But really, it was at 7:30. You would get off work. You would try to rush over there at 7:30. Check it out. Barely anybody was there. And then you were there till 8:30, 9 o'clock, trying to go home, eat dinner, and then wake up next morning for work. That was something that obviously over the years hasn't worked for us. To be honest with you, again, like I told you earlier, if I wanted to keep it quiet and wanted to keep it untransparent and in the dark, I would have just kept it at 7:30, because guess what? You had 15 to 20 staff members from the local and maybe 15 to 20 members that used to show up. And the only cool thing about those meetings was you won angel tickets and raffles from time to time. You know what I mean? Me and John took it upon ourselves to say it needs to be changed to a day where a majority of our members have the opportunity to come. And let me make this very clear. I could do it on a Sunday, and there's going to be people that say I can't make it on a Sunday. I could do it on a Monday, and there's going to be people that say I can't make it on a Monday.
You can never make it to where everybody can go. The only way you could do that is get all the companies to agree to close down one day a month and then have a big bash, right?
Yeah.
And you guys got to
but
remember,
our goal is to make it to where the most people would be able to come.
and you guys got to remember, these meetings, back in the days, times have changed. We have 24/7 operations. UPS is one of them. Albertsons is one of them. Back in the days in the 50s and 60s, when my dad was a union member, 70s, majority of these companies worked
9 to 5.
9 to 5 or 6 to 3, and then husbands would go home. They'd eat dinner with their wives at the kitchen table and say, "Hey, wife, I'm going down to my union meeting," which meant, "Hey, I'm going to go drink some beers and shoot the shit with my fellow brothers and sisters." But those times have changed. So again, we did our part to try our best to make it to put it on a day that majority of our members could try to make it. And again, because we haven't, we've gotten a lot more participation, but because we have gotten members that are like, "Well, I drive," we've actually, and not all the time, but like during Christmas, what we do is we'll take burritos, we'll take croissants, and I know people try to laugh, but that's the little things we can do for the people that don't make it to our membership meetings. Because I do understand that, hey, why is it on Saturday I hear about people winning ticket or things, I hear about people getting hats and shirts.
Yeah, they complain that you spent over $9,000 on donuts.
Yes, you know what I mean? Yeah, but again, those are the little things. Because I'll tell you right now, when I was a member at UPS, if somebody would have just walked up to me and said, "Here's a hamburger, a bag of chips, and a soda," I would have been like, "Dude, thanks, man. That's awesome." And that's what we're trying to do. So in terms of the intimidation thing, I will tell you right now, we've had supporters, non-supporters, people that have never showed up, men, women, whatever it may be, show up to our local union meetings. And if they come up to the microphone or just attend the meeting with the belief that they're trying to do what's best for the labor movement, or come up to the microphone with a question of validity or concern, like, "Hey, what's up with my contract?" Or, "Hey, can we have a shop steward election?" We just had a non-supporter come up and say, "Hey, can we have a shop steward election?" And we did. I said, "Sister, I'll get on this right away." We just had a shop steward election for her, even though she don't support us. But that just goes to show that you don't need to support us. But if you're going to come up to the microphone and say, "Hey, Eric, is it true you went to prison and spent, and John embezzled $200,000?" I'm not going to entertain that kind of stuff. And then when it gets into the nitty gritty of family, health issues, you better damn well know I'm going to call you out. Why is it that you're able to call me out and hold me accountable for everything I do? But when you lie and you make up these false accusations and you beat up on my kids and you beat up on my wife and you beat up on family members and you beat up on our members for the way they look or the way they dress, or because they're tall, fat, short, skinny, bald, whatever it may be, and I have to just sit there and be like, "Okay, I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to take everything you tell me," that's not the way it's going to work. I'm going to call you out. So the people that I think are intimidated to come down to our local union are the people that know They've been on the internet, they've been spreading lies, they've been spreading misinformation, and they're afraid to come to the local union hall because they know not you're going to be yelled at, you're going to be scolded, you're going to be debunked. You're going to be proven wrong. And some people can't take that in. So, but to all the members out there that have never come to a union meeting, get to a union meeting. That's your union hall. That's your right to come, whether you want to speak up or not. Come down, get a shirt. Come down, get a hat. Come down, talk to your business agent. Come down, get a soda, eat your food. Do whatever we're doing. That's your union hall, and we will welcome you in as long as you're planning on coming down and making sure that the labor movement moves forward for our members.
What do you got? Anything else important? Because we got to move on, dude.
Okay, I'll just ask this one real quick, and you've brought it up a couple times. You know how people have, you know, called you guys out for how you look and everything, but one thing that a lot of people, you know, came up to me on this one is some people think, and multiple think that some of the business agents don't carry themselves right. You know, they don't carry how they present themselves, and they don't like they also I'll add this one just real quick. They also don't necessarily think that they know proper contract language.
Okay.
And they also feel like they're not dependable. They're only there when it I'll just say someone said to fit their needs.
Okay.
So just all that into one, and that's
Okay.
it. Thank you guys for answering.
No, I appreciate it. And I can answer that, and John will back me up on this because John handles a lot of this too. I will tell you right now, in terms of the way they carry themselves or the way they look, I don't play into that. We have members, let's be honest, guys, the Teamsters have saved people from going down the wrong roads in their life. We have all walks coming through the Teamsters Union, whether it's you're from East LA, from Ontario, from Huntington Beach, from Laguna Beach. We have literally saved people from going down the wrong road in terms of I could have went down this road and failed in life, or I could have went down this road and achieved in life. And when they got a Teamster job and they were able to provide benefits, good pay, pension for their family, it completely changed their way of thinking. So when we do bring in business agents, you got to remember, these aren't Harvard scholars that they grew up with a silver spoon in their mouth and that they came from Yale, Harvard. That's the company side. Guess what? Company side, majority of them have went to college. Majority of them, and I'm not saying not, no Teamsters have ever went to college, but majority of labor and a majority of company management is my nose is stuck up. I'm better than you. I went to college. I can read better, write better than you. And this. Well, guess what? You know what the best school is to be a Teamster? Work on the shop floor. Because when you work on the shop floor, when you drive that truck, when you load that package, when you deliver those groceries, when you palletize those groceries, when you drive a bus, when you make a cockpit for a jet, guess what? There ain't nobody better or smarter to represent a Teamster than the Teamsters that have done your job. So to the terms of looks and caring, guess what? We're all walks of life. Some of us portray our message a little bit different. What I will say is if at any time our members feel that they're being disrespected, or they're being, not represented correctly, call me and John up and we'll take care of it in a heartbeat. And guess what? I'm going to tell you this. There's always, one of my agents always says, and it's a good saying, there's always three sides to a story. There's your side, their side, and then there's the middle truth. That's the best way to put it. If somebody comes to me, and some people have come to me and said, hey, your business agent, this and that, cool, no problem. Let me get his side of the story. I get the business agent side of the story. Okay, cool. Sometimes the business agent, I'm like, hey, man, dude, go take care of what you got to take care of. But a lot of the times the member isn't hearing the answer that he wants, even though it's the correct answer. And therefore, he's going to say, well, the business agent isn't doing his job. But again, our job is to make sure our members are represented. And if at any time our members feel that they need a little help or a little push to get our business agents to do their job, or me and John to do our job, or just something that they're looking for, call me up. That's all I'm asking is call me up and say, hey, Eric.
There you go. Call him up.
And when I ignore you, then you can come up and say, I went all the way up the chain of command and you ignored me. Until then, like I said, give me some leeway. No different than we ask employers, give Steve the ability to fix his issue on the truck. He didn't deliver late. He delivered a red late past 10:30. give him an opportunity to fix that and figure out how he can get those reds delivered on time. We would never say, oh, no, go straight to a write-up and he's not carrying himself correctly. Again, our members need to start looking at it and saying, we want you guys to live like us. We want you guys to be able to have the opportunities that we want. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I don't know, John, if you want to fill in.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, look, I think when it comes down to the representation side of it, the proof would be in the pudding, right? And like Eric said, if people don't feel they're being represented properly, the grievances aren't being processed. I can say I sit in a lot of grievance meetings, right? Do all the grievances have merit? No, but as long as it goes through that process and we move it forward, and you're given a shot for it, that's our job, right? On the dressing part of it, I'm a country boy, bro. I ain't gonna lie to nobody. It's a joke around the local because I wear slacks and I wear this because I mean, we got to be professional. But at the end of the day, I'm a truck driver. I came off the shop floor, and I'm not going to forget where I came from. I don't walk into that building saying, "Hey, you guys are drivers. I'm a business agent. I'm a president now." And I have guys that joke around and say, "Hey, Mr. President, you're here." Hey, no, I'm a truck driver. At the end of the day, I'm proud of where I came from. I live in a nice home. I'm not going to lie. I live in a beautiful home and a very big home. But I had that home before I became president of Local 952, and I had that home because of my union job. And you know what? I got a lot of UPSers that live right down the street from me that have nice homes too. And they got it because of a union job, and I'm proud of it. But the one thing that I've always said since I've been in here, don't forget where you came from. Because once you forget where you came from, you forget why you're fighting. So.
And John, I'm glad you hit on that because again, we have somebody out there saying, well, I'm going to make sure that everybody, I'm going to change the way people dress. That's not going to get you a good contract. Our members really need to think about that. And I'm not saying that, we go in there with sandals, shorts, and a tank top or anything like that. We do have to dress the part to make sure that the company knows we mean business. But at the end of the day, we are blue collar workers that came off the truck. I mean, I'm proud to say that members first slate, every single one of us before taking over the local came from a truck. I came from UPS. I delivered. John came from a big rig delivering, we had, Al Burgess, he drove a bus. We had Sean Munson out of the warehouse of Coca-Cola, Keith Barton out of the warehouse of CVS. You know what I mean? Alizar Baltazar, another bus driver. You know what I mean? We are, you know what I mean? And I'm not, again, I get the way sometimes people are like, wow, you should dress better. But at the end of the day, I'm not saying dress like a slob, but when you go in there, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, don't look at the way I'm dressing as a way of thinking that you're going to get your grievance handled or your contract negotiated.
I don't get smarter when I put a tie on.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So I hope that answered the question.
Okay. Yeah, I've said some things over years ago about that, but I had a show, and sometimes on my show I like to put a little satire in it, and then people blow it up and make things out of, like you said, blow things out of proportion. But I like a lot of this times my show it is satire if it's not union stuff, or I might throw in some satire and people take it out of proportions. But I love I love watching union movies. Like I've been watching Richard Pryor movies, and like he was like union workers and stuff, and like it's stuff like that. It just cracks me up.
Yeah, that's good. The jacket, real quick. I mean, we've gotten made fun of, and I want to. I will tell you right now, there's a lot of pictures of Local 952 wearing our jackets when we come into a warehouse or when we come in. And I will tell you right now, people can say whatever they want. There is nothing more frightening than seeing 10 Teamsters walk in with jackets, looking like if they're on a mission to get something done. And we have walked into UPS, Albertsons, and CVS, Coca-Cola, and literally management will stop in their tracks, eyes wide open, and say, "Oh shit, what the hell is going on today? You got the president, you got the secretary treasurer, and you got 10 business agents, and some of our ladies have walked in, some of our office staff has walked in, and when you see those black jackets, which everybody wears them now, they're just they're a big thing. When they see that, they're like, these guys mean business. So again, like I said,
Well, UPS, you walk by the little supervisor and you hear on the radio, they're in aisle 4.
yeah, oh, yeah, the part-time supervisor, they're here. You know, so but go ahead, Steve.
All right. So right now we're gonna try to see. Hopefully the technology works. Like you said, if you're watching the video, you see all that they plugged in. We're gonna take phone calls, a couple phone calls. Please be respectful, or you will be hung up. Okay. You're gonna state your name, your local, and your craft. So here's a number. The number is 626-941. Everybody's fucking. It's only one line, so everybody's gonna be fighting to call. 8003. Let's see if we get any calls. The number is 626-941-8003. Let's see. First time doing this. Yeah, it's a couple seconds behind. We'll see. Anybody want to call in? Anybody got questions to ask? Now's the time to do it. If not, you're gonna have to wait till September. The number is 626-941-8003. No? We got nobody watching? Is that your number?
Hey, come on now.
He said he was going to blame you if it went down, bro. Yeah.
Once again, the number is 626-941-8003. Give you one more minute. It's fine with me. We're well over 2 hours.
Is it really?
Yeah, 2 hours and 16 minutes. Did anybody say anything? Is the phone working?
Well, if you don't mind, while we're waiting for
Yeah.
that, Steve, you know, I mean, I'm taking you're going to probably close out.
Yeah, you keep going. Oh, here we go. First caller. Hello? Hold on. Let me connect you. Hello? Hello? Let's see. Let me see. Checking. Maybe it's on mute. Let me do this. No. No. Huh. I don't hear anything. It was working earlier. Give me a second, caller. Are you there? Hello? It's not even working. Hello? It was working earlier. Does your speaker work? Yeah. It's not even working. Here, let's see if I call him back. Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3. It was working. It was working. See, that's what happens with technology. Bluetooth.
That's why we're trying
That's
to keep
why
it
we
out of
negotiate
Yeah.
technology in the contract.
Yeah.
That's why we don't need autonomous trucking out there, because technology don't always work.
Right.
It's on. Yeah, let me. You know what? Let's call. Let me do this. Make sure. I'm gonna make sure it works. Huh. Okay. Well, I guess it works and it does. It works sometimes and it doesn't work sometimes. Let me do this. Oh, there we go. I heard it. Did you hear it? Let me see. There we go. Now we're working. Let's call him back.
Hello?
Caller, sorry about that.
What's up,
We're having
dude?
technical difficulties over here. What's your name?
No, you're good.
What local are you from? And what craft are you in?
My name is Manuel Rodriguez. I'm out of local 952. I'm out of Albertsons and Brea in the warehouse.
What's up, brother?
20-year Teamster. I'm just calling. I was watching the video live. Just want to tell my brothers, Eric, Jimenez, John Green, keep kicking ass. I'm a really active member. You'll see me at the strike lines. Any meeting, I'm there. I get a call. I'm super active. So all my Teamster brothers, get active, get involved, get to the meetings.
There you go. Well, thank you for calling in, Manny. You got any questions or anything?
No questions.
All right, brother. You have a good day, man. Thanks for calling in.
You too.
All right.
You too.
All right. Bye.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else want to call before we get out of here?
Well, I was gonna while we're waiting.
Yeah,
you
you
know,
go.
while we're waiting, Steve. All I can, and then I think John can throw a little something in is just before we get off the show, I'm asking our members, really take into consideration what you're being asked of. Really take into consideration what your the decision you're going to be making in the next month or two. At the end of the day, this isn't a popularity contest. This isn't a battle over like in high school where I don't like that group and they don't like me. They're jocks. I'm the skaters. That's not what this is about. At the end of the day, this is your family. This is your livelihood. What you put in that office can be taken away in a heartbeat by not having the right leadership in office. You know what I mean? And again, like me and John said, there's definitely room for improvement always. And like I said, we're not perfect. We don't walk on water. You know what I mean? But we're going to strive. The one thing that I will tell you is nobody's going to outbeat our determination. Nobody's going to outbeat the love I have for my members. Nobody's going to outbeat our strive to make sure that our members live better than the day before. John will tell you right now.
Unknown caller.
Here we go. Hello. Give me a second. Put you. Hello. See, it messes. Hello, listener.
Yo.
Yes, you're live on the air on the Radar Saint podcast. Please state your name, craft, and local you're from.
All right. Well, first off, good podcast. You guys are doing great. Everyone's doing great over there, and I appreciate you guys being informative and keeping all of the union members informed. First name is Michael. I'm out of local 952, and I'm from UPS.
Mm-hmm.
My question is that for the members first, there's been a lot of abuse kind of going on within the members over there. And what I mean by abuse is over management being followed, that kind of petty little sort that they're just trying to nick and ding everybody instead of kind of going through the process. They're just getting, instead of going through progression, they're just getting kind of ridden up and just getting hammered. So I want to know what are you guys doing right now for some of the members or all of us members to help deter that from going on right now that management right now is just trying to ding us at every single thing.
I got you, brother. So this is Eric Jimenez talking, and first off, thank you, Mike, for calling in. I appreciate you your voice and your concern. I mean, the first thing I'm going to say, and it's not an excuse, our excuse for the company, but as long as I've been at UPS, that's UPS. Like I said on the podcast earlier, if everything was perfect, there would be no need for a union. The company is always going to try to take advantage of our members. They're always going to try to get more production out of our members. They're always going to try to do things to intimidate, harass our members, and that's just the way it is. I will tell you right now, UPSers have something that most other contracts don't have, and that is, and here at Local 952, we're actually using that language in other contracts, but we have harassment, Article 37 language. It is
right.
Over harassment, whether it's 9-5, your 8-hour request, or whether it's over supervision, over harassment. And if we can go ahead and prove that they are harassing you several times over a course of so much time, we actually get you paid for being harassed. Now, does that fix the main problem of, because most people don't look and say, well, I don't give a shit if I'm getting paid or not. I just don't want to be harassed. Where our members need to step in, and a lot of the times, and I get it, you know what I mean? I'm not going to lie. I was there at one point. I did come from a union family, but when you walk into something, you don't really want to cause any ripples in the water. But I will say, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. If they are harassing you, if they are over supervising you, it is your right under that contract to say, hey, I'm following an Article 37. We just had an Article 37 brought up to our Southwest panel, our JOM, a couple weeks ago, where a part-time supervisor was for preload was trying to beat up on our members, and we literally had management and the union saying, "You better change your way, or you're not going to be here anymore." Those are the avenues we have the opportunity to go down. File a grievance. Get with Nick Bruno. If you're, I think you said you're a driver. If you're
Correct.
get with them. You know what I mean? Let us know what they're doing to you. Like I said, if you can't get a hold of Nick Bruno, you got John Antolino, you got Savas out there that they can. If you don't get a hold of them, get a hold of me. The one thing I will tell you right now, I get it. They're not supposed to be touching our packages. I get it. They can't change our start times. But the one thing that I take more to the heart than anything else is the treatment of my members. I tell people all the time, for the most of us, we only have one set of parents. And those are the only people that can yell at me or scold me. After that, we're equal. You're equal to management. And even though their job is to supervise you, and that's their job description, and you are a driver and your job is to drive and do your thing, that doesn't give them the right to treat you incorrectly or demean you or to treat you, with disrespect, whether it's verbally, whether it's just stares. At the end of the day, I take that very seriously. And if any of our managers are now, again, if they're doing their job and they're supervising you, we can't ask a supervisor not to supervise. That's their job. That's what they
Yeah,
get
of
paid for.
course.
And
Understandable.
And no arbitrator and no court ruling is going to say that a company can't supervise its own employees. It's just not going to happen. But if it comes to a point where they're demeaning you, get a grievance going. We have taken several grievances up through the panel, and I'll tell you right now, the gentleman.
We've taken a few late night trips down to a hub too.
There's been times that we get a call. Savas will call us or Nick calls and say, this is what's happening. And I mean, again, we were talking about it a little earlier. I mean, we all roll in 10 deep with our jackets, and I've motherfucked managers for talking to our members incorrectly, and we'll continue to do it. But again, the process, for you would be, dude, file the grievance. And I know sometimes like, well, I don't really want to put myself as a target.
And that's exactly.
You file a grievance. If you file a grievance, you have my word. If you file a grievance and they give you any shit about it, I will get down there personally and I will talk to your manager and I will make them understand.
All right, perfect. That's good for.
And just to let you know, because we go to the national negotiating table, and I get to sit at the national negotiating table, and I get to sit as a representative at the national meetings. We have a gentleman by the name of Joe Fody. He's from Boston, hardcore Teamster, has a great accent. But I'll tell you right now, there ain't nobody better than to put a case in front of than Joe Fody, because when he hears that our members are being mistreated, he will rip into management to the point to where we've seen some of them cry in front of us. And I'm talking men and women. And at the end of the day, you're going to demean our members. We're going to do everything to demean you. Our job is to be respectful, to get along with each other, and to make sure our contract is being followed. But I hope that answered your question. Again, brother, do not let this company pick on you. Do not let them overfollow you. But again, remember, guys, and I'll say this very clear, make sure your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed. At the end of the day, you don't want to say somebody's following me, and the next thing you know, you're taking an hour lunch at your house. Times have changed over the years at UPS. We used to be able to go to our house, take our lunches, take our lunches. You know what I mean? There was a lot of things we used to, the good old days, but those good old days are gone. So again, as long as you're doing your job, you're doing it fairly, you're doing it safely, and you're not jeopardizing any of the service in terms of packages, they can't say anything other than to you, because at UPS, it's a fair day's pay for a fair day's work. And you can tell me your numbers all you want, and you can try to get my production up all you want. As long as I come home safe, the only thing that tells me I worked hard is my feet that I walked on.
Yeah, there's even a law. I don't know how old you are, but even if once you hit 40 and over, there's a labor law where they can't, discriminate against your age. So, even though their numbers don't matter, to them, you could also throw that in. Like, hey, dude, I'm not 25 anymore, and I've been doing this job for 20-some years. And that's one thing I tell them. I says, hey, dude, just because I took the day off and the young kid ran the route and got it done 2 hours before me, I go, he's 24. I go, I wish I was 24, but I'm 44.
That's another thing we have in our contract, Mike, in our contract, UPS, we have literal language that states you cannot hit on anybody based off their age, how old they are. So I mean, and very few contracts have that. But what center are you from, Mike?
I'm from over here in Yorba Linda.
Okay, Yorba Linda. Okay, so I mean, at the end of the day, Mike, if at any time you need help from us, I can guarantee you Nick Bruno's in there. If not 4-5 days a week, hit him up, talk to him. Talk to.
Oh yeah, I know Nick. Nick's really good. Really good guy.
Talk to Andrew Westman. Talk to Robert Pitzenberger, Randy Armijo. I know Mike Miro is going to be retiring sometime soon, so we're going to have to say goodbye to that guy. But at the end of the day, grab a hold of one of those guys. But if for some reason you're just not getting through that way, call me up. Call the local up. Press the extension to Eric Jimenez, and I will make sure that management knows that you're backed up by the Teamsters.
You hit it perfect. You hit it perfect. Yeah, you hit it perfect by just saying exactly what a lot of these members are concerned. They don't file 9.5s because they feel that, hey, if I file 9.5, I'm going to be retaliated on. And I know that the management is over supervising us to go quicker. Why did you go over 9.5? Because they want people off of 9.5. And so that was a big concern that I wanted just to kind of touch base from a lot of our fellow drivers.
Mike, my mom used to tell me what you want and what you get is two different things.
That's true.
UPS can want all they want, but I'll tell you right now, dude, Steve, Laura, all those guys, don't make me walk in that center. That was College Center was my old center, man. So I mean, I take it to a little to heart when they mess with people over there. But anybody and everybody from UPS, like I said, do not let this company. You make them money. You are providing labor for them. That doesn't mean you get to be picked on every day. And if they do that, stand up for yourself, and the Teamsters will be behind you 110%.
I appreciate the time, and I want to thank you for everyone over there for doing a great job, and also for you, Eric, and John for doing amazing work still. And so I want to just go ahead and let you guys know, so I appreciate it, and thank you. And so thank you to the Raider and the Saint Nation as always. So appreciate it, brother.
Thanks, man. Thanks for calling in. All right, anybody? We'll take one more call, and then we're out of here. One more call. Next caller gets it.
It's getting warm under the
yeah, it's starting to get hot. The number is 626-941-8003. We're going to take one more caller. We'll give you a minute. I know we're a couple seconds behind on that on the live stream. Number 626-941-8003. I'll even count it down. I got the timer here. We'll give it a minute. If not, we'll bounce. All right, 30 more seconds. We're out of here. Okay. All right. Well, I guess nobody has any more questions.
Well, thank you for having us on, man.
Well, once again, man, thank you guys for coming on the show. Good luck on your guys' campaign and the election and everything. It's going to be, I know it's nerve-wracking, it's going to be good, Once again, thank you guys for the show. It was a really good show. I'm glad we touched on some bases. Obviously, people are going to say things I didn't touch on everything, but, I mean, we're at 2.5 hours. I mean, what else do you guys want? Be like 5 hours.
Come down to
there's a lot of things
hall.
I wanted to talk about. Sure. Brian, I had a lot of things, but, there'll be another time, But once again, I want to thank all my listeners from around the world that tune in every week to the Rainer Saint podcast. I love you guys. Be good. And I'll see you next week. All right. I'm out.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.